Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dan Rather, and I'm joined by Modest Mouse.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there. Jesse Eisenberg. This is a reunion for he and I, as you'll find out. We met one other time.
Yes.
I really enjoyed Jesse Eisenberg.
I enjoyed him so much.
Truly.
And when I was listening back, I was like, holy, this guy is great.
He's a special dude.
He is. And he's very quick. He's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
He was a joy.
He is incredible. He's an Academy Award nominated actor, filmmaker. Did I say actor right?
Is he a blessing?
He's a borderline blessing.
Wow.
And he's a playwright. The Social Network. Come on, guys. Now You See Me. There's third coming maybe. Zombieland. Oh, Fleischman in Trouble. Great show. When You Finish Saving the World. And his movie is out right now, A Real Pain, which is a bona fide great movie. I hope people check out this movie. It's so good. It's so unique and honest and great. Please enjoy Jesse Eisenberg. The Blessing. The Blessing. You don't watch Christmas Vacation enough.
Oh, I don't.
Let's have Aunt so-and-so say Grace. Grace, she's been dead for years. No, the blessing. They want you to say the blessing.
Oh,
he's pointing at his teeth.
why is he pointing?
Because he's very old and he has a toupee and it catches on fire. Lots going on that. Please enjoy Jesse Eisenberg. We are supported by Audible. They've stepped in as a presenting sponsor of this episode. With Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. So keep listening and watching to hear more about why we love Audible during the fact check.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
How are you?
Hi. how you
Welcome.
doing?
I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. Oh, you smell delightful.
Oh, you too?
Did you already comment on that?
I did not.
Did you guys embrace?
We shook
Do I?
hands.
You should.
I'm wearing perfume. Is it possible it's
Yeah,
me?
I think it's her. It's definitely not me.
No, go smell him.
Only if
Please?
it's allowed. Only if
Yeah, you can smell it, but I
Okay.
really
It'll
don't
smell
think
everywhere.
Yeah, you do smell
Yeah, it
nice.
smells fantastic.
You do. You do.
This was just given to me
By someone else.
by somebody else. Yeah.
Well, that person smells great.
So maybe she smelled great. Yeah.
My compliments to the former owner of that sweater.
Oh, no. She's a stylist, so perhaps she sprays everything before she gives it to me.
Okay.
I'm being
That's
dressed for the
wise.
next month.
That's a fun first question. Is most of your wardrobe comprised of shit you've collected on sets?
Only. One time I had taken my clothes from a movie and then we had to do promotion of the movie. And so I just changed out the clothes I had with the new version for the promotion. My lawyer called me and she said, Sony called. You have to send back the new versions
Oh no!
that you replaced. So there is a risk.
You can get caught.
That's a ding, 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 because my only really sad experience I ever had with wardrobe was Sony.
Really?
Because in this movie Zathura, they made this really cool astronaut's outfit for me. And again, there were several. And I wanted it. And they said, no, you can't have it. And I said, well, I'll pay for it. And they said, no, you can't pay for it. And then years later, and I know you're not on social media, but like 15 years later, someone sent me a link to it being sold on eBay for like $15 and it's sold. Or something completely insignificant.
Are you serious?
Yes, the whole astronaut outfit. And I was like, those sons of bitches, I would have given them more than $15.
Wait, who was selling it?
I imagine Sony just was like, we got to get
We
rid
need
of all
$15 bucks?
this. We got to get $15 by Friday.
Oh my God. Yeah. We're going to be kicked out of these offices.
They maybe thought that it was going to be such an enormous hit that it would be at the Smithsonian and then it would end up being worth millions and millions.
Yeah, maybe we were both thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And then it came out and just didn't
They're like,
do
I
that.
think-
Didn't
I think it's
really
eBay.
do- Yeah, I think it's eBay time.
It could also be, the company that made it. They could have duplicates. I don't even
That's
know.
true.
I don't want to throw Sony
Were they
under
selling
the-
it as a Zathura branded thing?
Great question. I have forgotten.
We'll have to
Okay,
do
got
some
it. Yeah,
research
maybe you
on
can have an
this.
intern.
Okay, this is always a stressful question to hear out loud, especially in public. But do you remember meeting me?
Uh-oh.
I was actually racking my brain trying to.
I'll paint a picture for you.
Okay.
I don't know the year. It would be between 2008 and 2013 because that's when I shot the show. But I was at Universal shooting Parenthood and I'm outside my trailer and I see a young gentleman across the way in front of one of the bungalows. I think having a cigarette. Were you a smoker?
No.
You weren't a smoker. I could tell from 100 yards. I'm like, that's just.
Oh my God. Yes, I do remember.
I could tell
Yes.
by your body posture.
I just recalled this. Yes, and I remember you were shooting there.
And I strolled across this great divide, like
oh my God,
100
I know
yards.
exactly the day. Of course.
I just
Yes.
harangued you.
That's right. I was doing a reshoot for a movie and you were shooting. I remember exactly where it was. It was towards, Jesus Christ, I don't know any of the names of the streets out here. It was by whatever, it was closer to the street where you enter. Anyway, I totally remember that.
I mostly out of curiosity had to confirm, like, can I possibly be recognizing that's Jesse Eisenberg from this far away just by how he's standing?
Yes, there's no one with my posture that would possibly be in a movie. So, yeah, except me. I remember you were so sweet. Yeah, I was there for one day doing reshoots.
Yeah, and I came over and I'm like, I could tell it's you from, and you're like, okay, trying to take that in. Like, that's a weird icebreaker. And then we had a nice 15, 20-minute chat.
Yes.
I don't know why I remember you smoking, but
Maybe
I
the
sexed you up a
character
little bit.
smoked and you were holding it.
Yeah, I think I was holding it
prop.
for him. Yeah, he just like asked me to hold it, I swear. That's interesting. Maybe I was going through a moment.
Did you ever smoke?
I've tried to smoke to relieve stress. I've tried to take it up and thought like this will help my personality and it just doesn't. I thought this will calm me. And it does that little trick of you're finally breathing for the first time where you're taking like deep breaths. I always thought if they can come up with a cigarette that didn't make me nauseous, I'd be a heavy smoker.
Yeah, it's kind of poisonous. I mean, I'm addicted to nicotine greatly.
But not cigarettes.
I smoked for, I don't know, 15 years. And it's miserable the first, I don't know, 100 cigarettes. You got to really stick with it.
You do, okay. I tried to, and then I also tried to smoke during a movie where I was just feeling so stressful. And then this young assistant prop woman, she was really nice, and we always used to talk, and she was very friendly and nerdy, and she thought that we were kindred spirits. And then she saw me smoking one day, and she came over to me, and she just said, I thought you were different.
Oh.
And I always felt such shame.
You had betrayed
Yes, whatever thing that she
bond,
had
you
assumed.
guys. Because see, that was like a cool guy move.
She didn't know that I was feeling deep, genuine anxiety and just trying to do anything to relieve myself. It was before I was taking like antidepressants. I was just trying anything.
To regulate.
Exactly. And it occurred to me after she said that, oh, right, maybe it doesn't work on me anyway.
Well, I don't want you to say that, but okay.
I do.
Okay.
I don't think you need to pick it back up or
Really?
anything. Yeah.
But I like his encouragement more.
My
Maybe I could.
my overarching hunch is that you've convinced yourself there's a lot of things you can't pull off that you could.
Maybe that's true.
Yeah. So my gut's telling me you think you weren't pulling it off, and you probably were.
You know what? That's very savvy of you. And as I get older, I start thinking more along those lines. Maybe I've kind of self-defined in a way that's actually maybe not the most.
Accurate.
Yeah.
This is one of Monica and I's longest standing battles. I think she's cooler than she thinks she is. I encouraged her to
I
shave.
think I'm pretty cool, but he wants me to go extreme. He wants me to shave my hair.
No,
and
just the
everything.
side. I thought she could really pull off like kind of a punk.
One side.
One side shaved.
Sure. I like that.
Right? Picture her in that.
I like it
Yeah.
too.
Doesn't
On
look good?
others, it's not that I don't think I'm cool enough for that. It's just not me.
Well, how do you know it's you until you try on some looks?
Well, that's true because speaking of cigarettes, for Halloween, I was Mary-Kate and Ashley, one of them, current era. And so I was holding a cigarette the whole time. I've never smoked in my life. And so I wasn't smoking, but I was holding it. And I was like,
She got
it
it.
is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Unfortunately.
There's a line in Manhattan where he goes, I don't smoke because it gives you cancer, but I look so incredibly handsome with a cigarette in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. You don't want it to be true, but it is.
Have you ever bought a car and then you got in the car and you're like, oh, fuck, I don't think I can do this?
Yeah, I got an Airstream.
Oh, okay.
I got
to
like
pull
the
behind
smallest,
a trailer.
Yeah,
I mean, a
yeah,
truck.
exactly. But I guess I feel that way anytime I'm going in reverse. But also, just like you'd stop at these campsites, I travel with my family, and I would have to unhook the thing, and I would always be asking for help. I was always just like the campsite's little brother, just asking for help for everybody. And can you show me how to use this tool that I carry around for some reason?
Well, you kind of answer the question. So that was my hobby as a kid. So I'm pretty mechanical, and we have a tour bus. And I say to my wife every time we're in it, because the entire time we're operating it, it's breaking. Like it's breaking real time as fast as I can fix anything. There's too much gadgetry on it.
Of course.
And I always say to Kristen, like, what does your normal person who's not a mechanic do with these recreational vehicles? Is yours in constant need of something?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it flooded in Minnesota in the deep, deep winter. And of course, the thing would freeze and break if I didn't do anything about it. And luckily, mechanics, they saw me in a movie, which was the only reason I got to get in there.
You think the big thing's buying the item. Oh, no, my friend. That's basically a down
Yeah,
payment.
exactly. I mean, there were just mice in the inside of the Airstream. Not on the
Same.
inside of the Airstream, on the inside of the inside of the Airstream,
Ugh.
like within the two walls.
Yes. Did they eat any plumbing? Because mice ate plumbing in my bus and it was so expensive. Because I have all this water. You know, I have 2 toilets and shit. They fucking ate through the plastic hoses. We went on vacation. All the water dumped on all the electronics, short-circuited everything in the bus.
Oh my
the
God.
shades, the lights, everything.
And then you found out later.
This was the work of mice.
Oh, wow.
A coordinated effort by mice.
What's the solution here?
New fucking plumbing.
But I mean, how do you
But what
get
do you
mice out of the
exactly?
things?
How do you prevent the mice?
Well, first I went on a mice killing spree, which was I put traps out in the bus with yummy, yummy peanut butter. Those ones were ethical. unethical. And this fell on my sister, unfortunately. She had to go release them in Griffith Park. I assume they came right back.
The ones where it closes in the little box?
Yeah, it's like a little resting area before we take our next trip.
Right.
Oh
And they
my
get the peanut
gosh.
butters.
What did you find? Just bits of foam chewed up everywhere and turds?
I took it into a place and they said, yes, they had eaten the entire inner foam lining of the thing.
Here's the other thing about mice. They love eating plastic.
Is that what it is? Are they actually eating it? Or
They're
just
eating
chewing
the-
and spitting it out.
Well, okay, great point. I didn't see how much debris there was underneath.
Yeah.
But yeah, they love insulation and wood.
These things are not food.
No, but they thrive on
Yeah,
it.
they really do. We're currently trying to sell it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, this is a great place to offer it. We've made
This
a
is
great
great.
pitch for the product. I think
My wife was just asking the school moms if anybody knows anybody, but this is a far wider reach.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Is there an info
Jesse
app?
Eisenberg's mouse-ridden.
please in the comments, what's year and the size?
2017,
Ooh, knew it.
16-foot Bambi Sport.
Beautiful.
I would say good condition, but now you know. yeah.
Riddled with mice.
Yeah, I was going to say
droppings.
never had mice, but now you know. But I got it. I fixed it up. It's mint condition.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So is it info@armchairexpert.org?
Yes, that's
Okay, got
exactly
it.
right.
And just give me a number. I don't want to have to start going through a whole thing.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in a long-term negotiation. Just throw out your final
Listen,
number.
I'm easy. We want to sell.
Where, the seller is very motivated.
Exactly.
Where do you keep this?
I live in New York, so I keep this on my mother's lawn in New Jersey.
Okay. And so when you guys want to go on a trip, you drive. Do you rent a truck or do you own a truck?
During the pandemic, I bought my very first car, which was just a Jeep Cherokee. I never had a car because I'm in New York. Then I gave it to my sister, so I don't have the car anymore either. So I have to go to my sister's, get the car.
Right.
Then I have to drive to my mom's. So it's a great way to visit your whole family.
Yes. Only to get 20 miles down the road and realize there's a major mechanical
Exactly.
issue with the
Exactly.
trailer.
That's exactly it.
Are you confident driving even though you've never had a car until a couple of years ago?
Ooh, good
Yes,
question.
is a good question. I'm confident. My dad was a taxi driver in New York right before I was
Oh.
born, and he taught me how to drive. And so I guess the word would be cocky.
Okay, yeah,
not confident.
arrogant.
Arrogant driver, fearless to a dangerous degree.
Oh, okay. This is great. So cars can be so healing because you're saying you feel very confident and it sounds like you're aggressive in the car.
Ooh, I see where you're going.
Yes.
Why don't I use that as the real me and smoke a cigarette out the window of my Jeep?
You spit tobacco out the windows.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a piss jar like in
Monica's
Crazy Heart.
shaved head blowing in the wind.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Exactly.
Riding on the roof.
One side of her head blowing in the wind, the other side having a
Nothing.
sheer breeze.
This is a good movie. This is Monica and Jesse go wild.
Because I'm pretty tame as well.
But I do think the car. So you were brought home as a little tiny bambino to Queens.
Wow, yes.
Okay, but then when do we move to New Jersey?
Wow.
Oh, this
You're
is the
already
tip of the
impressed?
iceberg.
Wow,
That's
this
nothing.
guy's
so
That's
impressed.
got a
very
lot
cursory.
more.
I'll get deeper.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I have your physical from 10th grade.
Well, you're in luck because it's the same physical right now. Yeah, we moved to New Jersey when I was 5 years old, and then I grew up in the suburbs. But I left when I was 18, so I got my license at 19. So this explains the driving situation here.
I was counting down the days till 16. I could not wait. But I grew up in a rural area of Michigan outside of Detroit. And in New Jersey, clearly kids were driving, right? You were
Yes.
probably anxious to get your permit and all that.
Not really. What happened was I was starting acting, and then I also was going to a high school in New York City. And so I was taking the bus into New York City every day from New Jersey to go to high school, and I was around no one driving.
Okay, right.
So I was only around city kids. In fact, I had to use a fake address to be there. It was a city public school.
This is the performance art senior year.
Yes. Every time you reference anything, I'm going to be in shock.
I want you to pace yourself, though.
I think I could sustain the same level of
Oh, my,
impressed.
this is great. It's kind of like an acting exercise.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the greatest day of your life. So no matter what, that would be an acting exercise.
Yeah.
This is the greatest day of your life, no matter what information you hear. And then I would say, thank you for coming in, Mr. Eisenberg. We just got your lab results back. And unfortunately, you are showing a very large tumor in your neck. You've got a couple months left.
Right. Wait, sorry, what's happening?
It's the greatest day of your
You're
life,
supposed
despite
to
the
pretend
information
like-
I give you.
Yeah.
This is the... Wait, you mean it's like the greatest day and then I go to the doctor?
No, the acting exercises. This is the greatest day of your life, despite whatever
Got it.
information.
I get it.
So,
Okay. Got it.
Mr.
Okay.
Eisenberg.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
take this back.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
try
yeah.
it one more
Okay,
time.
Okay, got it.
Did you cut, Rob?
Yeah, you cut. Okay,
Oh,
great.
you
Let's-
cut. Don't ever cut. Wait till I yell cut. Yes, we did get your sonogram back of your chest, and you have a very large mass.
How large are we talking here?
8 to 12 inches, it seems like, on the
8 to
scan. So
12 inches.
virtually your full left lobe of your lung.
So my whole lung is this other thing.
Yes.
This is incredible, because I have not seen an episode of The Wire, and I keep promising myself, if I ever find myself bedridden, if I get the flu, or in this case, obviously, it's something
Hospice.
much more long-term, I'll finally...
Oh my God. Well, congratulations. You're going to love it. It's a great show. Be patient of the first 3 episodes.
Okay,
It takes a minute for the writing to set in.
that's fine. Obviously, I have the time. And is the right lung okay? Because I've also not done Breaking Bad.
It's not great, but it'll make it through, I think, both series.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, this is great. The Left is that bad.
The Left is not great.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Can I do
Great.
the old sitcoms? 10 years of 20 episodes of Perfect Strangers?
You're probably not going to get through Cheers.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to make it through Cheers?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But what a great show to go out watch.
yeah, exactly. Okay, this is great.
This is a
was
good actor.
fantastic.
Yeah, you did a really good job. If I'm your teacher, I'm
At
gonna
first,
say.
I thought it was so good that at first I was like, he still doesn't get it, but he really got it.
He got
Right.
it.
I was playing.
I
Yeah.
need to do a few minutes on mom and dad because they both have very, very colorful, interesting backgrounds. So, as you said, your father was a taxi driver, but he also worked at a hospital and he also became a college professor of sociology. This doesn't seem like a possible trajectory. That sounds like an immigrant story.
Oh, yeah. His dad worked at a cafeteria, and then my dad was the first one to go to college in the family. Now he's a college teacher.
So, he's a bright guy.
Yeah, really smart.
How long was he driving a cab and working at the
A
hospital?
few years in Queens. Oh, no, he worked at the hospital after that. When I was a kid, he worked in hospital administration, and then the hospital merged with another hospital. And so, yeah, he started teaching.
Where does he teach?
He teaches through the SUNY system at a school
Oh.
called Empire State. It's part of like the State University of New York system.
Sunni as in opposed to Shiite?
That's right.
Okay.
And which is weird because my mom is Shia.
Oh, wow.
That's complicated.
And I was raised Jewish.
That's counterintuitive.
They went that neutral
Yeah,
route.
the two fronts met in the middle.
That's something we can both agree on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then mom was a choreographer in a high school.
Oh my God. That's not even on the
She was
Wikipedia.
also a
That's-
clown by
that's
the
right.
name of Kalana. What was her
Yeah,
mom?
Bonabini.
Bonabini.
Wait, so that's on the internet?
Or I got your mom's number.
Got
one
it.
of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
Which is also on the internet.
Leaning to the number thing.
Can we take 1 second to recognize that we've interviewed 800 people? No one's mother was a clown. I mean, you
that's
got to
so
acknowledge this is a
cool.
very novel thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, she was not Bozo or like Barnum and Bailey Circus. She was doing birthday parties in the tri-state area of New Jersey. I guess I never perceived it as my mom the clown because people didn't know. It wasn't like, wow, your mom's that clown. It was more like this is her job on the weekends.
You never had a friend over that had this eerie feeling he or she had met your mother before. And then hours later went, oh my God, did your mother do my 4th grade?
Could you just put on tons of makeup for a second? Real quick, blow up 100 balloons. It's actually funny. Now that people know me, people do come up to me and said, your mom did my birthday party because they've linked it somehow. But she was really great. So every Saturday and Sunday, she would basically wake up 6 in the morning, tune her guitar, blow up 100 balloons. And so it was disciplined for a really silly performance.
She was a business owner. She was a hustler.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, that's like a good model to have as a mom, I think.
And as a performer, because I work with a lot of performers who still have to get over the hump of thinking, this is so silly what I do. You know what I mean?
Embarrassing,
Yeah,
yeah.
embarrassment. And I just never really had that because I saw somebody who took it so seriously. My mom never said, so weird today. I was in makeup. It was just like, yeah, this was my job. This is what I'm doing. And I took it really seriously.
Yes. So now, I guess this is common knowledge. I didn't know this before researching you, but when I told my wife excitedly from the bedroom, you're not going to believe who Jesse Eisenberg's little sister is.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Did she know?
She knew immediately. But do you know, Monica? His little sister is the Pepsi girl, the one you're thinking of.
I love her.
Everyone loved her. She was universally loved.
And so she was working at the same time you were before.
She's 10 years younger, but she was through a series of weird, fluky things, was in movies and very popular commercials when, I was like 14.
But you were already acting, right?
What a
Because
cutie pie.
you were an understudy at 12 years old for a Tennessee Williams play.
Exactly.
That's pretty nuts. How do we get to,
I was doing children's theater in New Jersey.
and again, is this something mom just put you in?
No, she put my older sister who was shy, and I just wanted to be with my older sister. I didn't really like performing. It was on the weekends, children's theater every Saturday and Sunday. And then I had troubles in school, and so I just wanted to do anything to have an outlet from school. So I started doing community theater. It's like non-professional, but with adults in same towns. And it was an amazing outlet for me. And then an agent from New York had seen something and asked me if I would go on an audition for this play. It was Summer and Smoke, this Tennessee Williams play.
So 12 was your first professional
Wow.
audition, and you got it.
Well, I got like the understudy.
Well, that's a lot more than I've gotten on Broadway.
Well, sure, but it was a really weird job to get at 12 because it was like, oh, you know how you like doing that acting thing? You're not going to get to do that at all.
You're going to get to watch a lot of
Yeah,
acting.
exactly. And then you're going to play poker and smoke cigarettes backstage with all the other people who are kind of waiting for somebody else to get sick.
Praying for an injury.
Exactly that.
Yeah, so do you have to go there every night if you're an understudy?
You go there every night. Again, for me, this was just a dream come true because, I get to go to New York City every night. I didn't have to like interact with people at school because I had this other thing and I couldn't have friends anyway because I was leaving. I got to miss Wednesdays in school because I do the day shows and Broadway. It was just great.
Do you remember how much you were making?
I think I do, or at least I can figure it out because it was the Roundabout Theater on Broadway, which they had these special contracts where you can make something like $220 a week.
It wasn't thousands.
Gosh, no.
Because if I was 12 and you were paying me a couple grand a week to come hang and play poker.
Oh, God, no, there's like no economy for that kind of thing. I made money when I was just about to turn 16 and I got on a TV series, Get Real, this Fox show. That's when I made money. And we were all just in a state of bewilderment.
Yes, I bet. Even though at that point, Little Sister had also generated a bunch of money accidentally.
She started making money at like 5 years old and it was crazy. My parents are wonderful, wonderful people. And this is not a but. This is an end this. And when my sister made money when she was younger, it was just like a weight off the shoulders of my house.
Yeah,
you just felt it. And they didn't even want to take her money. You know, there's the rules. It was just for the first time, the lid went off the pot. And again, this is all for her for college.
But there's a safety net somewhere in the mix.
Somebody loses a leg. Yeah, it was like amazing. And then I got on this TV show. And then since that moment, it all just feels like a joke to me. Getting money for acting, the whole thing just feels like a joke to me and my family and my wife. It all just feels like this is ridiculous. I can't believe no one's telling them they don't have to do this.
Right.
That we would all be here anyway.
Yes. We would. Would we go promote? That's the question. I've been told that's what you get paid to do is go promote. Unless it's a podcast, then you would do that for free as well.
Oh my God. Well,
it's so pleasurable.
It's the Armchair Expert. I mean, can I pay? Even the promoting thing. I just got back from Poland promoting the movie that I filmed in Poland and being there to promote it. I was staying in literally the nicest hotel in Warsaw. And it was the hotel that we would pass every day as we went to our bad apartments.
Yes.
And it's so funny. So I'm like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to promote a thing versus when you're making a thing and there's a small budget for making an independent film and there's no money for any of that stuff.
Yeah, no one asked for this, but I think the finances of this would interest people who are not in show business. So if you think about a studio has a budget to promote the movie and they're trying to get it in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And so they have many options. They can buy a TV commercial and a 30-second spot's going to cost however many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars versus we send you to Kimmel, we show a clip of it and you talk about the movie. We can count that as basically 2 ad spots. So by their math, they just saved $200,000. So if they're going to send you out there, my God, they'll spend $5 grand on your hotel room. Don't give a shit. And they'll pay for you to get a massage. And it's a big savings for them. So it's the best we ever lived.
You have just explained something that I have tried to articulate for a long time because it sounds like a little inside baseball-y of the movie industry. But what you just described is the very strange economy of promoting a movie.
Yeah. And they have a set budget. They're like, we're going to spend 30 million marketing this or 5 million, whatever it is.
So you doing that one magazine thing is the equivalent of them buying an ad in that same magazine, which would cost way more than your $150 hotel room. But for us, the trickle down just ripple effect of it is you feel like this is crazy.
It's the only time you feel like a movie star.
Exactly. And the movie I made was $3 million, which again, this sounds a little insidery baseball, but is like very, very little money to make like a real movie that requires tons of sets, etc.
Absolutely.
Speaking of when you just said it's the only time you feel like a movie star, do you like feeling like a movie star?
I just literally came from a hotel where I asked them to put me in a smaller room because it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if that's the New York thing. I just don't like
Too much space.
Yeah. My bags are currently at the front desk because they're getting the smaller room ready. I feel a little out of sorts.
Yeah.
I feel a little weird. I feel like it's also wasteful. Like if there's a room that I'm not going to be in a lot, I don't want it to exist, you know?
Sure.
It's also like New York living, though. You would never get an extra anything in New York. You'd never get an extra closet in New York. You would put a friend there.
You don't like attention would be my guess also.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I like it and hate it.
Gangly hillbilly crosses the parking lot to say, hey, I could tell you Jesse Eisenberg by the way you're standing.
That was the parking lot of Universal Studios where you were filming a major popular show.
Yeah, I already got through one round of security, I suppose.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you were already on that trajectory. You've said a couple times school is miserable. What version? I mean, I guess I have hunches.
Oh, I really had a very bad...
Were you shy and nervous?
No. I was hysterically crying when I was 4 years old. I got kicked out of preschool because I couldn't leave my mom. I guess I maybe thought of it as separation anxiety or something.
Abandoned.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was crazy. I mean, I went to a mental institution when I was 13 because I went crazy and left school for a year.
You did?
I was like a very troubled kid. I don't know
Because
exactly
of anxiety.
Yeah, severe anxiety and all this stuff.
OCD?
Yeah, OCD, but it was more just like I couldn't go to school. It just killed me. When I was in first grade, I cried every day. Sorry, it's kind of like a funny story, but it's also sad, whatever, if you were me.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah. It was like sad if you were me, funny if you're basically anybody else. But I cried every day of first grade to the point where if I didn't cry on the bus ride, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, the bus driver would give everybody Tootsie Roll Pops. And so I tried to not cry on the bus.
So that everyone could get their Tootsie.
And then on Friday, literally on Friday, you'd hear down my block, "Don't cry, Jesse." People chanting at the bus because they would get Tootsie Roll Pops. So I would be holding it in until I got to school. Then I was allowed to cry.
Oh, this is
Jesse.
heartbreaking.
Now, here's my hope is that it was so endearing that it got you out of getting bullied for it.
You know what's so weird? I always wanted to be bullied because I thought it would give me a reason.
Yeah.
For some reason, I wasn't.
Well, that's really kind of life affirming, to be honest, because I do think even shitty kids have some critical mass of suffering. Okay, he's already too fucked up.
Oh, maybe that's it.
They'll push, and then there's a moment where their actual conscious kicks in, I think.
That's a really good point.
So that's weirdly kind of hopeful that you were crying that much and they were just going, don't cry, don't cry. Not like, if you cry, you fucking baby.
That's really weird. I actually never considered why. Maybe that's what it was.
I think so.
I was in 6th grade this one time. It was right before I left school. This kid, I'd never talked to him ever. And he picked up some wood chips and he threw them. And it was kind of in my direction, but it wasn't at me at all. I promise you, because I didn't know this person. I promise you guys, as though you're not going to believe me. I was so desperate for them to hit me so I could have a reason for my misery.
Wow.
So I can pin it on something so I can tell my mom, no, I'm crying because this kid, and I even knew his name because I was trying to concoct a story in my head where this kid was my torturer and that's why school was hard for me.
Yes.
But it wasn't, and it wasn't even at me. And that's in some ways like the saddest thing of all. I couldn't have a place for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
What parent do you think it was harder on? I mean, it's hardest on you. Let me say that first. As a parent, that would be absolutely heartbreaking for me to know my kid gets on the bus and cries the whole way to school every day.
Yeah.
But I weirdly guess that dad would be in a very big panic that this world's going to be too hard for a boy and that he somehow has got to toughen you up. And how does he do it?
That's exactly what happened, but I didn't think of it that way.
He's probably so overcome with
scared.
fear. Oh, this poor boy is going to get destroyed.
That's exactly what happened. So he would like push me back to school. And then when I got out of the institution, it was basically like, if I don't go to school, then I go back to this place, which was terrible. He was doing tough love.
Out of his fear, I'm sure, that you were going to suffer your whole life.
And also the fact that he was probably right, which is that if I just did it and committed to it and didn't have the option to not do it, I would probably learn to be okay.
What was the institution like?
It was genuinely terrifying.
Do you mean any sexy Ali Sheedy types that were like misunderstood? I have kind of a fantasy about falling in love at one of these places.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make any sense?
I don't recall thinking this is a great opportunity for me.
You can see the movie in your head, right? The teenagers that go to the derelict center and then she's really hot and misunderstood and she just needs to talk about her dad to you and everything will be fine.
Very vulnerable.
I'm sensing we were different 13-year-old boys. I didn't go in there thinking like, I can clean up, every cloud.
I would be thinking cohabitation with other teenagers. What might happen?
Okay, that's probably why you didn't have to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were doing that in school and everybody thought you were awesome. No, I remember asking this one kid for his shoelaces so I can kill myself. And then I was brought into a soft room with a deflated volleyball.
Oh
my God.
No, and I remember he was the coolest kid. I don't know what that means at the time.
He was the Jack Nicholson character.
Exactly that. And I remember asking him for the shoelaces thinking like, oh, he's going to think I'm cool. I don't know what the equivalent is, like going up to the biggest guy on the jail yard and punching him in the face. I was doing, I guess, the equivalent, but I was also punished for it.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, so we're laughing about it, but were you terrified? Were you thinking at that point, there's something fundamentally broken with me and I'm not going to be able to function on this planet? Were you scared?
That's how it felt. But I mean, I still have that same weird dread underlying, but I'm on like antidepressants now, so it helps a lot. But yeah, just that weird dread of the bottom is going to constantly drop out. It's weird. I'm doing this press tour and I just keep waiting for the bad thing to happen. We got good reviews. I was like, okay, that's good. And then the movie did well on the opening weekend. It made more money than they thought. I was like, that's good. So now something really terrible is going to happen to me. So I thought it was going to be the movie, but now it's like, no, I'm going to get hit by the car. It's not even get hit by the car. It's more like existential. Like people are going to realize I'm a terrible something.
Yeah.
I live with this dread. I assume it helps me in some way.
Well, I've heard you talk about harnessing it in a positive direction. I think that's virtually the only option you have on the table is you got to learn to work with your character defects and exploit them for the good side and try to mitigate the downside.
Yes, I guess so. You have no choice.
I wrestle with this too. I write from a place of you're a lazy piece of shit. You're a failure if you don't accomplish this. Everything is negatively motivated. And so I relate to it. When I hear you speak about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do a very similar thing. And then feeling guilt that I have to be motivated that way by self-loathing
exactly.
and all this. And then hopefully some compassion compassion and forgiveness and acceptance, you're that way and okay, here we go.
Yeah, and I do so enjoy my work. I feel like I just won the lottery that I get to be able to do something I genuinely like. So that's really helpful. And also my work is emotionally cathartic because it's an emotional job. And so that's really helpful too. All the stuff around it is really kind of unnerving. In terms of the negative motivation thing, we're in the arts and no one's really asking us. Now you have an incredibly popular show, but probably at the beginning, no one was begging you to do this. No one was begging you to be on parenting. You know, all the stuff we're doing has to be self-motivating because no one cares. Like, oh, can you write a script today? No, who gives a shit?
Right.
And so like, I wonder if we in some ways are looking for some kind of motivation because there is no external demand to do the thing. It's not like you have to punch in, like you guys created this from nothing and it's turned into this thing. Now forcing yourself to think in these weird ways to motivate yourself.
It's hard.
It is.
Because I sit down, I write a script a year. My background's playwriting, but I don't really need to do that because I make money from acting, but I feel like I'm going to be a failure if I don't do it. And so I live with this dread of failure. And when I step back, sometimes I think, oh, maybe that's just the thing I create in my head to force myself to do the thing I like.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
No, I think it's possible. I also think it's fascinating that you can have, or in my case, it's like this split confidence. There's no self-esteem at all and imposter syndrome and all this stuff. And then also this, you're a failure, which has innately in it some idea that I'm supposed to be special and super prolific and good.
Yes. That's fascinating.
So this dichotomy of I'm unworthy and I'm a fraud and also you're supposed to be doing great things, they're kind of incompatible.
That's very true. And I'm not acting. My days look like this. I wake up in the morning, I'm depressed, but I'm so happy I get to take my kid to school and I love my wife. I mean, that's not like an active thing. That's just something that's underlying the relationship.
I'm sure some days you have to think it.
Yes, some days there's an active loving my wife and some days there's just a passive, I love you, honey, and keep that in your mind. And then I just go into a real funk until the library opens at 10:30, which is where I go right up until 10:30. A miserable, stupid failure. I can't believe I have the posture that Dax Shepard could recognize from 30 feet away. No other person would ever be in a movie studio with my posture. And then the library opens and then I go and I start writing and I'm sitting there laughing at my own jokes like the most arrogant guy in the world. And then I'm crying because I just wrote a monologue and I'm crying about the monologue and everything. And then I finish the thing and I go back home and I'm just such a loser. I'm such a loser. My wife's going to leave me. I'm such a loser.
Oh
my kid thinks I'm a bad role model. And it's so weird. But while I'm doing the thing, in some ways, I guess I think I'm amazing. I guess so.
Yes,
because I'm sitting there writing it.
Well, you've been validated there too.
Yeah.
Maybe, but my wife validates me as a person too. And my kid loves me.
Work can be validated externally, but you cannot be validated externally.
Oh, wow. That's a good distinction.
You as a person and your character, that's got to come from you. So it doesn't matter what your wife says. That's the juxtaposition.
I know this thing that I'm outputting, which is not exactly me, is going to be okay.
Yeah.
I picked this up in AA and it's been kind of helpful in me governing how bad the self-loathing can be. Because in there it says that self-pity is the other side of the coin is self-aggrandizement. You've still elevated yourself to some level where the universe cares is against you or you have bad luck coming your way, right? Like today, you know something bad's coming. You're not that important to warrant this bad luck or the right sizing of the justice.
The piece of shit at the center of the universe.
Yes,
Right.
another great AA thing we say a lot. Or I'm not much, but I'm all I think about.
That's really funny. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be in that kind of self-pity or it's self-pity adjacent, right?
Right.
And I'll go, this is so indulgent. This is as indulgent of being a megalomaniac, which I would not tolerate from myself. So if I can turn that same ire onto the self-loathing part and go like, it's still you feeling way too important.
That is brilliant. So you're saying you'd be so ashamed to be the arrogant person that you should also be ashamed to be this person who's like self-loathing as though you've committed some great...
You should. You can imagine someone going, get over yourself. You're not fucking so important and you're not suffering any more than anyone else.
But then don't you feel like, oh my God, now I feel bad because I was a narcissist. I'm the worst narcissist in the world.
Yes.
I think I'm the worst single narcissist.
Yes, but I think it starts dissipating every one of these steps you take. So then it becomes a little manageable that your ego got away from you. I don't know.
Why does this cross over to AA? Because drinking is trying to solve those problems.
We have this weird dichotomy of being so important and then also zero self-esteem.
And it's a thing that's very relatable to most people there.
It seems to be very universal in AA. My hunch is it's probably universal to humans. But we have, for whatever reason, determined that was one of the main driving forces of the self-obliteration.
Yes, that's really interesting.
Have you ever struggled with any addiction stuff?
No, I can't. I've tried.
You've given it a go, like the cigarettes?
The cigarettes, I've tried to really commit myself to being a stoner. This is going to probably sum up my entire personality, the following sentence. I've even experimented with coffee. sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be a coffee drinker. And so I'll drink it 4 days in a row and then I'll just start to feel queasy and fall asleep. And so maybe like my body is kind of like a lightweight. I can barely drink. I don't know why. Or I'm just really wired at a certain level that all that stuff is just not necessary.
It is quite obvious to me, talking to you, how Woody Allen would have been such an appealing figure when you were young.
Yeah.
Because here's a guy that seems to have the outward same grab bag of anxiety and is processing it through art, and it's hysterical.
Right.
And so this is a time for a really great and weird story, which is you wrote something for Woody Allen.
Yeah, when I was 16, I got exposed to his movies, which maybe is a little late if you're going to be somebody like me. I could have used them a long time
earlier.
ago. Yeah, they could have shown it at the communal TV room at the institution. Would have been a great help. I would have gotten all the shoelaces. But basically, I was writing a lot at the time. So the first screenplay I wrote was about Woody Allen changing his name to Woody at 16 years old, which he actually did. But I said it in modern day and in my life and situation. And people liked it, and it got sent around to various people and ultimately wound up at his lawyer, who sent me a cease and desist letter.
What?
That's so flattering.
Well, at the time, it really was. My dad came into the room. I was living at home. I was 16. He goes, I have good news and bad news. I was like, what is it? What's going on? He's like, we heard back from Woody Allen. And I was like, there can't be any bad news after that. And he was like, it's a cease and desist letter from his lawyer. His lawyer, incidentally, who was his producer, I got to know. Of course, the guy never knew. I'm sure it was somebody sending this letter 10 times a day to various people.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you picked up on that, and what you described was exactly like that for me. It's like somebody who's outwardly nervous and paranoid about all sorts of things, but who makes life work for him.
Did you hit him with that story on a first meeting, or did you wait till you were filming for a while before you told him?
He's just not interested in like people.
That kind of.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, hey, you get this? He's like, wow, a coincidence about me. He's somebody who's been so fetishized by culture. So I think he's just so uninterested in people telling him, hey, I got a brother who looks like you. I never told him ever. I knew he wouldn't care or think about it. And then we were on a panel for a press for a movie, and somebody, like it was a French journalist, said, did Jesse ever tell you, you did this thing? I looked over at him going, this is just going to be a waste of a time for him. He's not going to care. And he goes, oh, interesting. No, I never knew that. And we never talked about it again.
This is exactly as
So
you
you were
predicted.
right.
Exactly. He just has no interest, maybe in me. I mean, one time he asked me, because he had met my parents at a play that he saw of mine. Then we worked together again. And the only personal question he ever asked me was, you still have the same parents?
Oh, wow.
It was like a joke, but also indicating that there's nothing we're going to be talking about.
Do you chalk up the anxiety to just baseline biochemical, or do you think any of it is nurture?
Oh, yeah. I had some weird things in my life occur. Probably a lot of it was circumstantial. But I do really have great parents. But yeah, I had some really weird stuff when I was a kid. And I'm maybe wired this way. But it's weird because my parents are actually comfortable, happy, normal
Chill.
They
people.
feel great in their own skin.
Yeah. So there's deep depression and paranoia in the family, but not from my parents. So yeah, I think there was a series of weird things that happened when I was younger that probably accounted for all of my great personality problems.
Okay.
Well, they
Again,
got you
I don't see
here.
them as problems.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
find you very interesting to watch endlessly. So keep processing in public
Yeah,
all of your stuff.
agreed.
I think people are going to really enjoy that. Yeah.
Okay, so back to now this radical flip-flopping. It's no wonder you're waiting for the shoe to always drop. So you're in a mental institution, and then click of a fingers and you're on a TV show in high school.
Yeah, so after that period, I started auditioning more for things. I went back to school. I was slowly integrating back into regular life while still auditioning and basically desperate to get a part because it meant I got to leave. And then I auditioned for a TV show. I was mostly auditioning for like off-Broadway shows, which is what I was doing. And then there was an audition for this show, Get Real, on Fox, and I got the part. It was just crazy. I mean, it sounds almost maybe arrogant to say. I didn't know I was funny because I was doing off-Broadway dramas like Tennessee Williams. I didn't know I was like a funny person.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the TV show was funny and my character was funny and he was the character who was narrating the show. So it was like a kind of comic voice. And I was auditioning and the people were laughing at the audition. These are like professional people. They had big shows on. And I remember thinking like, oh, I could be funny. I was partly doing an impression of a kid I met who was really funny and wry and stuff. And so then it was like, oh, I have kind of a voice. And the show was basically asking me to do my voice. It wasn't asking me like in a Tennessee Williams play, you're like, I'm doing a Southern accent, but I'm a Jewish kid from New Jersey. You know?
Right. I'm fixing to go to the synagogue.
Yeah. And swim at the water hole later on. with
I want to
Aunt
do
Sally.
a mikvah a little later in
Yes,
the creek.
exactly. Whoa, very good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a great character. Southern religious Jew. Yeah.
Tommy Schlamme, the best dramatic director in television history.
Yes.
He's a Texas Jew.
Oh, is he really?
With the name Schlamme.
Yeah, it's not helpful. Does he have like an accent?
No, but he's so special.
He was the
at
West Wing
magic.
guy, right?
He did West Wing. Yeah.
I've always seen that name and wondered, why not change it?
Yeah. He did the pilot of Parenthood, and I said, just hearing that name, it's one that would make you or break you, and I see it's made you.
Yes.
Like he's so
That's
confident
true.
and cool.
That's true. You live or die. Yeah. So anyway, so I was on this show for a year and it kind of went under the radar and got canceled.
Anne Hathaway, had she already done a bunch of stuff?
No, I think it was both of our first jobs.
Oh, really?
Oh, she was on it as well.
Yeah, we played siblings.
Oh,
And she was like, I
wow.
think a year older than me.
Would you be in scenes with your sister thinking you've got to table your attraction to this person because you're playing?
I guess maybe my brain was just like, you never talk to that person.
Okay.
Not on your radar.
Yeah, maybe. I really was not.
I bet that's charming to gals. I bet over the years you've had something that would appear to be confidence because you've already just written it off as not an option.
Yes.
Like an aloofness
Yeah, that's so funny.
that might seem really
I mean,
attractive.
my wife was my first date, and she is so cool and beautiful and amazing, and she was older than me. So I just went up to her like almost as a joke. I was like, would you ever go out with me? And I never said that to a person ever.
Oh, wow. Would you go out with me?
Would you ever go out with me?
It was a joke.
Is she Australian?
No, but she could be. She's so pretty. She's as pretty as an Australian is.
Oh, my God.
She could be. She's so pretty. It's what
You'd swear she was from Australia.
Yeah.
Go look at her.
Yeah, one look. My wife and I actually dated for like 10 years, and we broke up, and I did date an Australian.
That's what I'm thinking.
That was my
of.
other girlfriend.
Okay,
Yes.
a blonde Australian.
Yes.
That's its own interesting, really, story I want to earmark. But yeah,
Yeah.
5-year break that ends in marriage is incredible
love
and
that.
unconventional.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She was my first date. My wife wouldn't date me when I was 17. She waited until I was of age. There were like 3-year period where I couldn't go to a bar, and she could go to a bar, because I was
Yeah.
18, 19, 20. But I think I had the confidence to ask her out because it seemed so absurd.
And she was
Yeah.
like, yes, I will go out
No,
with you.
she said absolutely not. No. But then she was an assistant to a producer for a few years before she started teaching. And the producer wanted to read my screenplays. I was writing screenplays a lot. And so Anna, my wife, was the intermediary. So she would have to read these things. And so she thought I was funny. And I reminded her of her
Yeah.
father, who was like funny Jewish.
Oh, this is like Sorrento. She kind of like fell in love with your words. Is that the name of the play? Sorrento?
Oh, Cyrano.
Oh,
Cyrano.
Yes,
Cyrano.
Cyrano.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. You gave it the
Cyrano de
Parmesan cheese version of Cyrano. Yeah.
Well, I'm always straddling the line between Philistine and know what I'm talking
Right,
about.
right, right,
And that-
exactly.
that, like
Yeah.
bullseyed it.
The references are very clear, but you add a T. Yeah,
Or an S, depending.
that's right. So then we dated for 10 years. It was great. And now we're married.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Great story.
You were going to go to NYU, but instead you did a movie. And then you ended up at the new school and you dabbled in anthro.
I've graduated in anthropology.
I have an anthro degree.
Wow. Can I ask why?
That's exactly
great
why I was
question.
going to ask you.
I did because it was my wife's degree prior to me. What about you?
Through my own childhood, I just always felt outcasty. I didn't feel like I agreed with the vibe that was existing around me. I thought there had to be other ways. And anthro was like, oh, not only are there other ways, there's like very exotic, interesting other ways.
Oh, you mean to just live?
Yeah, culturally, realizing how flexible culture is and how many versions are out there to try begs the question, are we even close to what version we'll be ultimately living in?
Because anthropology teaches you that cultures are not superior, inferior to each other.
Cultural relativism. We just got to learn why it functions the way it does, not whether that's good or bad. I found that very liberating.
Me too, especially because you're trying to constantly be a good version of this society, but that in some ways it's a little randomized.
Yeah, and I'm feeling like it's unacceptable how I'd like to be doing this. Oh, there isn't a right or wrong. That's comforting.
Yes, that's a really good point. My wife specifically, she grew up living in different places in Central America and Europe, and she just lives life totally different than anybody I know. She's an activist and she's politically minded, but she's just uninterested in, like, we just had a presidential election. She's uninterested in all of the numbers of the presidential election. She just kind of is like there helping people in need. She just doesn't have this sense of the rat race of modern life.
Is she less inclined to levy a verdict?
She's uncynical. She's never criticized people. She's never, I mean, in 20 years with her, she's never looked over at me and rolled her eyes at something somebody said. And I'll ask her, like, wasn't that so stupid what that person said? She's like, no, I mean, they're going through a hard time.
It probably makes sense within their little sphere of culture.
Exactly. And this is the way they exist. It's okay. They have trouble making friends. Just let them say that stuff to you. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of compassion.
Exactly. She's never once uttered the phrase, that was weird. And partly that's, I guess, why I was also able to ask her out. She seems very unjudgmental. She wouldn't think like,
Right.
wow, no, you're ugly. She'll just take it at face value.
And then cultural pluralism's also one of your focuses.
Yes, that's because I graduated with a weird degree. The new school has these kind of eccentric degrees. So it was democracy and cultural pluralism, which was basically an anthropology degree.
Yeah, interesting. And then you're doing a bunch of acting while you're at the new schools.
Yeah, I would leave every other semester.
And is that where Lipson was the new school?
Oh, wow. Yes.
James Lipton?
James Lipton. That's
I'm
it. Was
on
you were on the
Inside the
Sorrento
act.
side of
Yeah, yeah, that
Yes.
was-
I was never in acting classes there, but yeah, he ran.
Inside the
Inside
Actor
the
Studio?
Actor
Yeah, that's
Studio.
what it was.
But that was a new
Love
school
that show.
presentation
Yes,
somehow,
exactly.
right?
It was.
Did you ever go to any of those weird lectures and ask
I
questions?
didn't. I knew them really more from the Will Ferrell parody of them. Do you remember those?
Yes. I guess you're
Yes.
young enough that it had already been parodied.
Like, it was hard to take that kind of thing seriously. And I was working with actors who are occasionally so pretentious that I was so turned off to that thing.
Yeah.
What's the word that you know, just this kind of self-important, sanctimonious version of actors.
I hated it too, but if I do some soul searching, I think it's probably because I thought maybe they were better than me, that I haven't studied enough.
Oh, yeah. No, I could understand feeling that way.
You have the opposite. You've been working for so long and you were on Broadway. You're like, I've really done it.
But no, I could see it having also the effect of, oh, wow, this is the real deal. This is the way you're supposed to talk about things. To me, it just seems like self-important pretense, as though your job is like more important than any other job in the world.
Okay, so you come onto my radar in The Squid and the Whale,
Oh,
which is
what
such
a
an
movie.
incredible movie. Is that Noah Baumbach's first directing?
I think he had directed other movies that hadn't gotten the same amount of attention.
I saw that movie and I absolutely loved it. I love Jeff Daniels like crazy.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think he's one
he's
of the
great.
most unsung. Him in Newsroom. Yeah, so I saw that and I thought you were incredible. And I thought that movie was absolutely incredible. Is that Mark kind of, I already know the answer, I think, which is you don't ever feel safe. But did it feel like, okay, the right people are noticing this. I have my foot in the door firmly.
I don't know how to describe it other than to say so briefly. It's like the kind of thing, I've been in things that are popular and been in things that are unpopular. And there's always a little period after the popular things come out where you do have, yes, I would just call it exactly what you said, a feeling of security. Oh, I know if I wanted a job in the next 6 months, I could definitely get one.
Yes.
I don't know that it would be great or that I would love it, but I've been involved in so many of these things where something is really liked briefly, and then you go back to the same thing 6 months later. It's always the case.
It's a cycle.
Well, you have 4 years between Squid and the Whale and then Zombieland, which, unless I'm mistaken, Zombieland's then the next big kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it was like a big movie.
So in those 4 years, where are we at mentally? Also, is there anyone you've isolated as I'm emulating that career or I would like that career? Were you thinking of what kind of actor you were aspiring to be?
No, I mean, if anything, like I grew up really liking Ben Stiller and Adam Sandler movies, probably like every other kid on my block and every block in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I guess I saw in Ben Stiller, maybe before I noticed Woody Allen, maybe a kindred thing. Like, oh, I could be in movies as a good role in movies and not have to change too much about myself. But no, I never thought like, I'm going to do that, because as actors, you know, you have no control over anything. And also weirdly, I was really just getting cast in dramas. Zombieland was a comedy, but all the auditions were very dramatic auditions. I was really not getting cast in those comedy things anyway. Even this movie I did right before Zombieland, Adventureland, was a comedy, but the
yeah.
director wanted to make his bittersweet coming of age story. He didn't want to make a broad comedy.
Matola, right?
Greg Mottola,
And that was
yeah.
a follow-up to Superbad.
Well, that's the thing. It really wasn't. It was like Greg's life story in the 80s and this bittersweet thing. But because they billed it as exactly what you just said, people were disappointed in it because they thought it would be really funny, like super bad. It's interesting that you asked this, and I haven't thought about this in like 20 years. But what you just described was, I actually thought one thing might happen to me, and that's not the thing that happened. I thought I could be in a Long King Polly or something like that. And I was just not cast in those roles.
Zombieland to me was so fucking incredible. I don't like zombie movies. I was like, who's Ruben Fleischer? This guy can fucking direct. There was a Metallica song in the movie, which there almost never is.
Yeah, you're right.
When you were shooting Zombieland, did you have any sense while it was happening, like, oh yeah, this is pretty mega. This is going to be fucking awesome?
That's the movie I started smoking on, that I was told by the prop woman, who was a really nice person, told me that she couldn't believe that I had transgressed so badly in her eyes. But what was happening at the back of my mind, I thought this thing is good and that I'm ruining it. And I would have panic attacks all the time. In fact, anytime I had to do a scene that was one of my audition scenes, I just froze up and I would start saying other lines. And then they told me, we just got Bill Murray to sign on for a day in the movie.
Yeah.
And I walked away and had another panic attack. So I was like, now people are going to see it. And I'm so bad. And I know that Ruben wanted Michael Cera to be in the movie. Ruben is a good friend of mine, so I could say this comfortably, has no filter, and didn't realize that him telling me that he wanted Michael Cera to be in it would make me feel uncomfortable.
Sure.
And also didn't realize that sending me videos of Michael Cera while we were
No.
shooting at night, so I'd be on my computer
Oh my God.
and an email with the subject line, Michael Cera funny video, would be sent to all the cast.
This is
He's kind of
cruel.
obsessed with Michael Cera, it
Yeah,
sounds like.
he was obsessed with Michael Cera. I'm sure who turned down the movie. I'm sure that's why I got to audition for it in the first place. And so every day I was just thinking of, oh, of course he wanted Michael Cera. And I could read the part with Michael's voice in the
Right.
part
Sure.
way more than I could read it with my own voice. So I just felt like I was every day letting down the movie. And this was just like a failure because of me. And then I just started having these weird fantasies. Of course, I'm going to go home to visit my wife on a weekend and Michael's going to be there in bed with her like, hey, too late, buddy. And I've since met him. It's funny that he's like the nicest person.
He's impossible to dislike.
But just at the time, I was getting recognized on the street as him all the
Yeah,
time,
I
to the point where
bet.
when I said to the people, no, I'm a different person, they was like, yeah, fuck you, you're him. It was a weird thing.
I think it's more common to have that than not, because mine was Zach Braff. The whole early ride.
Thank you for saying that. It is more common than not.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to an actor, it's always, oh yeah, mine is this person. And I was this for Michael too.
And it takes a while to get comfortable with it. Now, and I've talked to Zach about it as well. It's like, I'm happy to pose in a picture and you think it's Zach, and that's great. I don't need to correct anyone. You were great in Garden State. Thank you.
I've signed a Hot Rod. This is an Andy Samberg headshot.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
But that's the part that you don't think in the moment that it's happening to him. Everyone thinks I'm Michael Cera and everyone thinks he's Jesse Eisenberg. You
Exactly.
forget that piece.
And he had, I think, told a story publicly about getting recognized at me at a bar or something. And I remember thinking like,
that was a fluke.
exactly. Whereas for me, I mean, literally I got cornered in an ATM by somebody aggressive saying like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I was like, okay, fine. I am. And it was just like the weirdest existential crisis to be stuck in this vestibule going, I am the other person. I am the other person. Let's take a picture. One time my sister's friend said, do you look like the guy in that movie? I mean, you're obviously like a better looking version of him, but like you look like him. And I remember thinking, oh, that's so interesting. So the objective opinion is that I'm ugly, to the point where she apologized for making that comparison.
Jesse,
Oh
that
my
happened to me
God.
while I was presenting
Such
on
a
stage
mindfuck.
with this singer. We're midway through one of these award shows. She's like, this season's blah, blah, blah. And she just looks at me and she goes, you're so much better looking in real life. And I was really delighted and also like, but hold on now. She thinks I'm rough.
Like that's
on
the
screen.
objective truth.
Yeah, as opposed to what she thought before, which is why is this guy in movies, which I would have related to her on.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
Of
we
course.
could have talked all day about
Yeah.
that.
I was surprised that my sister's friend even complimented me in the moment.
Okay, now the social network comes along. I guess I just want to know a little bit about how you came to be in that movie and what's it like? Do you go meet Fincher first? Do you audition? Was it written with you in mind? How's all that work?
I remember I was sent like 3 scripts that same day and 2 things were bad, but I auditioned for those 2. You know, it's like
Yeah.
the nature of being an actor. You just get the parts you get. And I remember that script was, oh my God, this is such a great thing to read. And then I just made the tape on my couch in New York and then they gave me the part.
And you got the part on the self-submission.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. It felt like it was like being sent to the CIA because my agent called and they were like, they liked your tape and they're going to watch it again. I was like, okay. Okay. What
Like,
does that
thanks
mean?
for the
In 10
update.
days.
Yeah, exactly. They called me out to California and then I met with him for an hour and David Fincher speaks in a very interesting way. I was there just waiting for him to say, you got in the movie or you didn't get in the movie. But it was instead, he was like just telling stories about old Hollywood. And I didn't know what they meant for me because you're sitting there, you're like a 27-year-old actor. Like, did I get the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they called me later and said, yeah, you got the part. So it was a weird thing. You know, it's so strange. Like I've auditioned for things that I haven't gotten into and you audition for them like 10 times and then they meet you. You read with this person and then read with that person and then they'll straighten my hair and make me read again. This happens to me a few times. Straighten my hair so I can see what I look like as a Gentile. And then you don't get those parts. And then a thing like this comes along and it was just, I made a tape at home with my little sister and they cast me.
Wow.
Did the repeated takes... Well, let me ask you this. Are you prone to insecurity on set? It sounds like you were having a lot of insecurity on Zombieland.
Yeah, no, this I didn't. I felt like I was just in the shoes of this person. The anxiety in Zombieland was really, I'm an interloper here. They tried to cast somebody else who's definitely funnier than me. I still think definitely funnier than me. And he didn't want to do it. And everybody's disappointed that I show up every day. The Social Network, it just felt like I was prepared for it in a different way. The character was so interesting and socially aloof and cryptic and angry, and this is my comfort zone.
And is having the Sorkin dialogue put you immediately halfway there?
Yeah, it's so helpful because you know the scene's gonna be good either way. You didn't feel like you had to do some heavy lifting. So it felt like, oh, I could just play in my character.
Yeah, so often it's not on the page the thing that we all know everyone's trying to get that day.
Exactly. It requires the actors to do some work that they shouldn't be doing. For example, like making certain emotional transitions seem logical when actually they're not in the script. I mean, if you're working with great scripts like that, a great director, my experience was, oh, it's easy to be good in this. You get a bunch of takes. The script is amazing. You can't fail.
A no-brainer.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And you famously had no experience on Facebook. You joined for
Right.
30 seconds or something.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the story.
Yeah, I joined for 30 seconds to see what it was about.
I joined for like 12 days once. And I looked at everyone I went to junior high with. And when that was over, I was like, I don't know why I'm on here anymore.
The thing you just described is the exact reason I'd be curious. I'm so curious to see what people look like. Just like, what do people grow into? It's so fascinating to think about.
Well, my conclusion was everyone I looked at, I'm like, oh, they're old. Oh, they got families. You can only do that so long before you go, then clearly I am too, because we're all the same age. Whatever I am looking at them with, I have to acknowledge is happening for me too.
I love that movie. I rewatched it recently. It's still so great.
You
Holds
did just
up.
rewatch it,
I
didn't
did,
you?
yeah. I was obsessed with it. I would just watch it over and over again for a
It
while.
was one of your movies.
I have a handful of movies that I end up just watching every night, sort of on
Contagion.
repeat. During the pandemic, Contagion.
I still haven't seen that. Is it great?
It's so good.
I'm so curious.
It's
I'm so
such a
curious.
good movie.
Okay, yeah.
Devil Wears Prada, Social Network.
Seven, we love Seven.
Seven. Really?
Fincher's got 2 on the list for
That's
Monica.
interesting.
Yeah. Good Will Hunting is my number one. That was the original.
Is it the kind of thing you could say every line to?
I wouldn't want to be put to the test right now because it's been a minute, but at one point I could recite the whole movie
She would sit in class and watch the movie.
in my head. I would watch it and then rewind it and watch
Were you
it
in
again.
class at
and rewind
MIT?
it. I wish. No, because I was too busy watching movies in my head.
Yeah.
But Social Network is so good. You're so good in it. Everyone's so good in it.
Well, thank you.
You already had your taste of it all with Zombieland, but that's an enormous moment. You get nominated for a BAFTA and a Golden Globe and an Academy Award. That prick Colin Firth had done King's Speech, so no one had a chance in hell. Yeah, what was that whirlwind like? Hard, fun?
Weird and exhausting. And when I would complain to my dad would just always say the same thing. It was like, if you have one of these in your life, if you're like in the arts, be so happy. Why are you complaining? And Obama was president at the time. And I was like, I have to go to a weird dinner. My dad was like, do you know the president of the United States probably has 17 things a day that he has to do that are not the thing he likes doing? You should be just so grateful that somebody's giving you free dinner and everything. And I remember I was thinking, I shouldn't go to the Academy Awards because awards are stupid. My dad called me and he was like, are you an idiot? This industry has given you so much. Of course, go to these things.
Yeah.
These award shows are basically ways for the industry to celebrate itself and to promote itself. So just go there and be grateful. Now I'm a little more grateful about things rather than trying to resist.
Well, just you're going to feel uncomfortable in all these places you go.
Yeah, but also I think in a bubble, they're strange why they pit artists against each other. This kind of teenage poetry thought, you grow out of that stuff.
And isn't it all a lie too?
Which part?
The story about why you're not drawn to it. If I were you, I'd be like, I don't belong there. Those people belong there. That's the real feeling in my heart that I might not want to look at.
Yes.
So I build on top of it a very defendable reason why.
Artistic.
Which is that awards are bullshit.
Pitting
Yeah.
artists and all this stuff. The brain quickly fills in a plausible excuse that doesn't require you to own your fear or your vulnerability.
Yeah, that's so intuitive. I even call my mom sometimes or my wife. What's the difference? One of those two people tells me, last time you had a good time and you met a friend of yours there and you were funny. Yeah, that's
And you
true.
actually leave going like, no, I actually belong in this group of people, which
Yeah.
I keep
You know what? They don't
convincing
belong.
myself.
Yeah.
Actually.
I should be there alone.
I don't know why they invited DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, but he's not as
Honestly,
fun
it's
as
not
me at a party.
Fun. Yeah. There's a charm missing. It's that X factor.
So how was hosting SNL in the wake of that?
That was so funny. It was like the exact same thing you're describing. I had turned it down 10 times because I did not want to be somebody who had hosted Saturday Night Live because I just felt so embarrassed. I was like, I'm going to be a person who did it and who would never be asked back. So I was just like, I don't want to have done it. Feel so embarrassing. And then I did the exact same thing that you just said. So instead I justified it by like, no, because I want people to know me as an actor, not as caricature stuff. So I don't want to do it. So that's why I justified it. And then I was really pressured to do it. And I was a fan of the show, obviously. I mean, everybody is.
And it's an insanely unique experience to have on planet Earth for a week.
Yeah, in fact, I don't even really remember lots of it. When you're doing the show, you're being dragged around by the sweet woman, Donna, who's changing your costume. You literally have no autonomy. You're being just taken around to various things and the hours are weird.
Yeah, you're kind of in a fever dream the whole week and then it ends, right? And you try to process it afterwards.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Oh, I did want to mention one thing because it seems relevant for a real pain, which is Emma Stone, of course, was in Zombieland. Is that the first time you meet her?
Yeah,
You guys become pals, obviously, because she's a producer on both the movies you directed.
yeah, exactly.
I think she is so talented. I think she's so sparkly. And I thought Poor Things she was off the charts great in. I find her to be a real unicorn. I'm very intrigued by her.
Oh, she's a total unicorn. I mean, she's funnier than almost anybody I've ever met and great dramatic actress. And I will say, knowing her now as a producer, she's so savvy with in the film industry. We're like on marketing calls with the studio, and there's people who've been doing that job for 20 years, and they're all amazing. But she just holds court, and we're all just sitting there taking notes. And she's somebody who's never marketed a movie. She's just so savvy at every aspect, from giving me a note on my script to then marketing to production, everything. It's hard to describe what the thing is because I haven't seen it in somebody else. It's hard to articulate it. She just seems always right is what it feels like. Everything she says to me is always, oh yeah, that seems better than what I was thinking.
You're right. There's a hyper-intelligence too. I should have listed that in the mix.
Yeah.
But so often you go on a movie and you really bond with somebody, but then there's no legs to it afterwards. You both go to different sides of the planet and do another movie for 3 months. How did you guys end up maintaining that friendship? It just broke through that?
I think everybody who meets her has that same feeling. And I think everybody who meets her feels like they have that bond.
Yeah.
And I was very, very aware of that when we were working together. I was like, I'm her best friend, but also I think probably everybody feels that way. It's because she's so genuine. You have the sense in her presence, like, oh, this is my new best friend. Wow.
My hunch is she makes you feel incredibly comfortable to talk to.
Yes, exactly.
And so for a lot of people, she's the most comfortable person they get to talk to. And so they are in the level of intimacy that they can feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They feel in her presence like this is the most comfortable I've been.
Because I could also see you convincing yourself to not stay in touch with her.
Oh, no, I did. I didn't reach out.
That's my hunch, is that she probably pursued you as a friend.
She did. I only say this because I didn't want to bother her because I think of her as on another planet. She's also a very busy person.
Yeah.
But she would send me text messages. Like I had put out a book the next year. She'd send me text messages of lines in the book. She would come to all the plays I wrote. She was just very supportive. I think what it is that she's like a comedy nerd. And so I was writing comedy essays. She would send me a picture of one of my short stories or something, and she would say, this is my whole life. And she's genuine.
Beams give me hiccups.
Yeah, Bream Gives Me Hiccups. It's a collection of short stories that I published in there and elsewhere, and she would just send me pages from it, and no one was doing that to me. It's so sweet and flattering. I think she's just like a comedy nerd, in addition to being also like a goddess. And so I think that's what it was. So she became interested in the stuff I was writing, and so she would always be the only one who would read my stuff. I mean, more than any other friend.
Yeah, she believes in you creatively.
Yeah.
And so she got my first movie script, and she was thinking of starting a production company, and she asked if she can produce this as her first movie.
Wow. That is when you finish Saving the World.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you do the Now You See Me's. Those are huge hits. John's a friend of ours for part 2. John Chu.
Oh, really?
You got to see Wicked. He fucking slayed it.
I can't wait to see
It's
it.
insane. Okay, it makes a ton of sense. You've written a bunch of plays that have been produced. You've been writing forever and you're acting. So obviously directing's not a big leap. But for you, did it feel like a big declaration?
Not really. I just was feeling like I wasn't getting good movie parts for a while. I was always writing plays because I was doing movies that I really liked.
You were living also in a subset of Hollywood that got largely diminished. You were in a lot of $20 to $60 million movies, quirky comedies, those went away. The actual sweet spot you were living in is only just deflated over the last 10 years because that's TV now.
That is so interesting. God, I just blamed myself.
But I'm sure you're at home going like, yeah, no one likes me anymore.
course.
Forget the fact that they haven't made a $35 million dramedy in 8 years.
You know, it literally never crossed my mind. But so I had this happy thing where I was acting in movies I really liked, which you're saying went away. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And then I was doing plays and it felt great. And then it had been a few years since I'd been in a movie that people really liked. So I just thought I have to take the thing I've been doing in theater and just move it to movies where I can kind of take control of it a little more. I had written a book for Audible, and instead of turning it into a play, which I was going to do, I turned it into a screenplay. Because I just thought then I could just get in movies. And it truthfully was helpful. Like I was working with A24, produced it, and it was basically like, I'm in with the cool kids again in the movies. And I engineered it myself. And now I acted in my second movie. So now it even helps me as an actor. But it was kind of like, I guess, taking a back door back to the table that I felt I wasn't sitting at anymore.
Right. And had you convinced yourself that the ride was over, even to the degree where you were trying to transition into gratitude for having been at the party?
That's funny. You're
Fully
talking about the
accepting-
memoir phase of the career.
Yeah. Like the processing of the
Yes,
experience.
exactly. Now you're opening the car dealership based on the sitcom that you were in.
Mine is I'm doing Ace True Value hardware commercials regionally in Michigan. And I go, no, you didn't get punked. We do have garden hoses on sale
Exactly.
for...
Now watch out for those zombies with this new rake. Now you see these cars, now you don't. Yes, God, where was I? All now I could think of. Where are we?
Directing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. Basically, you joke that I was in the gratitude phase. I was not in the gratitude phase. I moved to Indiana. I was in the I moved to Indiana phase.
Bloomington, Indiana.
I moved to Bloomington.
Yeah, what is that?
Bloomington is a city. And cities are groups of people.
Okay.
And you know this from your anthropology, that those people can be different. But basically, my wife grew up there.
Okay.
My mother-in-law tragically got sick, and she was running a domestic violence shelter there. And we went to help out with the shelter and to take care of her. And in terms of professional stuff, because that's kind of what we're talking about, it was like just a total 2 feet out the door of this thing. You know, it's a weird industry. It feels so unstable. And you feel like, oh, the thing's going to spit me out tomorrow. Being in Indiana, I was just around none of it, which was great. Paradoxically, it was weird because I was the only actor there. And so people were like, hey, are you still acting?
Sure.
Which is not a question you want to be asked.
What year was this?
This is probably 2016, 17, 18,
Okay.
19.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, no, and then in the pandemic, we were there all the time. We moved to Indiana.
You left,
Yes,
basically.
exactly. And it was a relief, but you're running away from something too.
Yeah.
I was running away from not feeling like I'm pounding the pavement in New York. Also, I was in this Batman movie, and the Batman movie was so poorly received, and I was so poorly received. I've never said this before, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I genuinely think it actually hurt my career in a real way. Because I
Really?
was poorly received in something so public. I've been in poorly received things that just don't see the light of day. For the most part, no one knows. But this was so public, and I don't read notices or reviews or movie press or anything, so I was unaware of how poorly it was received.
But I don't even know what you're talking about, and that's another fallacy.
Another reality.
This is another thing that we think.
I didn't know that either until I was reading about you today.
Yeah, we think everybody knows.
Knows
Like,
about
I'm
our-
sure you think we know what you're talking about, the movie, and then you were poorly. Like, I didn't know that until you just said it.
Oh, yeah, but in the industry, if you're in a huge movie and not seen as good, the people who are choosing who to put next in their movie are just not going to select
Pick you.
Yeah, you're just like associated with something. I loved my role and I loved the movie, doing it and everything. So I feel just myself to blame. I'm not like they did me wrong. No, I'm like, oh, I guess I did something wrong there. And so it did feel like I had to climb out again.
Yeah, but you were really depressed after that.
It was depressing, but I'm depressed all the time. In some ways, it's just like, oh yeah, of course I had this great opportunity. Of course it didn't go well. Just pessimism.
Okay, great. So here's this other great irony, which is constant fear of the future. But when terrible shit's happening to me, I'm kind of good in terrible shit.
I'm fine.
Which begs the question, why am I so afraid of the future? Because every time I'm in the shitty thing, I do just fine.
Oh no, it's exactly what I expect. My main trouble comes when a good thing is happening because I think now is the really bad thing. And it's that anticipation that's really troubling.
Yes.
My mother-in-law was very sick, and while we were taking care of her, it's such a self-centered way to view something. But I remember I just had never anxiety because I never had a thought about myself. It made me feel so good to be able to help somebody who needed it. During the pandemic, there was no work, obviously, couldn't go to sets. So I was working in this domestic violence shelter. I was just volunteering, and I'd never been happier in my life. It was just getting outside of yourself.
Now, I heard you talk about directing. I thought this was a cool thing to acknowledge because I say this kind of publicly. This is a wild business. The most creative person isn't the best director. You have to also lead 120 people in a direction. That's its own skill set. And it's almost bears no relation to the other part of the job.
Yeah. It's like you're general manager of a store.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You think, oh, if you're creative, you're a writer and you're in your room by yourself. And if you're a good enough writer, eventually they'll go, do you want to direct? You're like, well, I sit in a room by myself. This is going to be a different experience altogether. I liked hearing how you owned that. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that can be shouting on set, we're losing the light, but you found your own way through it. What is it that you landed on that made you comfortable in that role?
Oh, that's so nice to ask. The directors I've loved working with are not those people either. They're people like me, and they are great because they're real people who so appreciate everybody who's on that set. They appreciate the actors who are exposing themselves, discounting their own vanity, even though their face is going to be blown up to 1,000,000 feet. And I just walk in so lucky and happy that this production designer, this cinematographer, this art director is here working. They're far more talented at their job than I am at my job. This is my first or second movie. This is their 100th. These actors, same kind of thing. So I just feel really lucky. And the 2 movies I've made are very specific to my voice. And so I'm very confident in the creative part of it. I know where I'm not confident in. And I'm so happy that I have people working with me who are. When I think about it that way, it's pretty easy. My new movie I'm acting in as well. And I never had a chance, for example, to watch the playback of me in the scene. I never had an opportunity. We were moving too quickly for me to go and put my headphones on and watch me act. It was basically I could either do that or do another take. It would take the same amount of time, so I'd just do another take. I was too busy to second guess myself or my hair. I just finished doing Now You See Me 3, and it's an ensemble movie, and the part doesn't require me to like dig deep. And yet still, I was so nervous all the time. This is my shot on this movie, and this is the important scene in this movie. When I'm doing my own thing, I just don't have that. There's no buildup.
I think I'm best in the things I've directed because, yeah, I'm so distracted by the much bigger issue at hand.
So you're unself-conscious.
Yeah, there's no time for it. I got to get these lines out I wrote. That's my job.
But what does it tell you then about the nervousness from the other thing? Does it tell you that's just fantastical stuff that you're creating to fill your mind?
it gives me an example that I can do the same job without all the bullshit. I don't have to be fearful, right? And I don't have to be nervous. It's almost like immersion therapy for you or I, where you get results and then you have to acknowledge, oh, I didn't need all that racket.
I just find there's so much waiting in movies. You fill your head with crazy stuff. Again, I just finished this movie. Ruben Fleischer actually directed it. It was a big movie, and you could not go wrong in this movie. It's Now You See Me 3. And yet you spend the 6 hours in your trailer waiting to do the thing. And so by the time you get to do the thing, and the line is basically just like, I got him right here. Something like that.
Yeah.
And so you're in the trailer and you're like, I got him right here. I got him right here, because you're thinking this requires so much because I'm here in this trailer. And
It must require so much if there's all this crap around and all these people around me.
Exactly. So then you overinflate the importance and then you screw yourself up a little bit, because it actually is better if you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Well, I watched A Real Pain last night and I really, really enjoyed it. And in fact, I was watching it. My 11-year-old, who was just trying to get out of going to bed, which is a great technique, she kind of joined me. She was laying on the floor watching with me. And she goes, this movie's hard to watch, but I really like it. And I'm like, yeah, that's like a whole genre of movies, hon. We take for granted, all three of us grew up watching certain kinds of movies. And now kids grow up watching like kids movies or tentpole movies. This whole strata, right, of like an emotionally taxing, talk heavy, it's not in the marketplace. It was cool. This is uncomfortable. You can feel what these guys are going through. And that in itself is very intriguing and pleasurable to consume.
But what you're saying is that's unique. My finger's off the pulse.
If you're 11, look, we took them to the mall Friday night because I found out there's a Dairy Queen in the Burbank Mall. Once we got there, it was, oh, we've never been to the mall with the kids. They think this is spectacular. We're in Macy's. They're on every bed, every couch, every chair. And I'm like, oh, right. This was my entire childhood, going to the mall.
They never been there just because mall culture is not the same thing?
Well, we don't shop at the mall. We shop online. And this particular mall, the Burbank Mall, shout out, it's a time warp. It's the 80s. It's the same terrible things at the food court. It was just one of these dumb things where I was like, oh, right. I spent every weekend of my life at a mall. This is their first time to a mall at 11 years old. In that way, this movie was weirdly refreshing because this movie could have been
mall of movies. Yeah,
yeah, could have been. What director do I want to say? Not Hal Ashby, but there's a 70s vibe to this movie.
Yeah. It's character based, walk and talk characters that you don't necessarily fall in love with right away.
Every scene you set up for, you probably were going to get through 4 or 5 pages of dialogue.
Yeah. Wait, did your kid not find Kieran to be really funny? Because Kieran's antics are funny in the movie.
Yeah, she liked Kieran, but Kieran is also making everyone very, very uncomfortable around him.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, it's unpredictable.
All right, so let's set up the movie, and then I want to hear your own history and going into it. The thing I want to applaud the most is just as a writer, it's such a different story by the conceit of it. So you and your cousin, who are very close as kids, who are separated in adulthood geographically and socioeconomically and all these things. You shared a grandma. She lived in Poland, World War II, and she died and she left you guys money to go visit where she's from. And you guys joined a tour.
Yeah.
With a really fun group of different people with different reasons to be on the tour. And now we're just on this tour through Poland, and it's a Holocaust tour. And there's these cousins trying to come to terms with how different their lives have turned out. I'm sure the implicit guilt in your character's mind. And he's Kieran, so he's the dude from Succession. He's impossibly charismatic, can get away with saying anything.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to watch. What's your own? I know you have some similar bit of history with Poland and your aunt.
Yeah, the house that the guys go to at the end is my family's house.
Oh, really?
And my wife and I went to all these cities in 2008 when we were just traveling through Poland. So I knew these places quite well. And then my Aunt Doris was born and raised in that house. My cousin Maria survived the war through a series of miracles, as we say in the movie. So it was kind of like a combination of these two people. And then I'd been on some of these tours, not in Poland, but first time my wife and I went away together was to Venezuela. She's like an interested person in the world. She took me when I was 18 to Venezuela and we went on this tour. And it was so funny because you're with these other Americans or British people, whatever, it's an English speaking tour. And you're not having any local experiences. You're in another place, but you're kind of in this bubble. I thought it was so kind of funny and ironic. So I wanted to kind of present that world. Also would be, I thought, really interesting to just have it set on like a Holocaust tour. So basically the kind of humor of the movie and of the characters can just be offset and against the backdrop of something quite big.
Where do you get that relationship?
I've written about characters like these for a while. Kieran's character is Benji. I played a character named Ben in a play called The Spoils, which was about a similar kind of character. I'm fascinated by people like that. So if you haven't seen the movie, the character that Kieran plays is this incredibly charming, charismatic, live wire firecracker, but can also be very manipulative, antagonistic, intimidating, but also lovable, and then also ultimately very broken. Something is very disturbed.
For lack of better verbiage, he seems kind of bipolar. You don't know what you're going to get on what day. Is he going to be really high and ramping up everyone else around him, or is he going to be in the pits and drag everyone down with him?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I've found people like that just to be initially very enviable. Like, I wish I had that kind of outward charm. I wish I could say what was on my mind. I wish I felt comfortable enough in my own skin to even say, hey, I'm feeling really bad now. He gives people the greatest moment in their lives, but he also, when he's not feeling good, he decides he has to turn everybody's world sour. I always thought that's like the version of me that I don't present.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. They're two different characters, but are they you? I mean, are they your super ego and your id?
You're the first person to put it in those Freudian terms, but that's what it is. So Kieran's like the id. My character is David. Everything David is feeling and all the things that are coursing through his unconscious come to life. And that's Kieran's character. And there's something unsustainable about Kieran's character. So that's why there's a kind of broken, bittersweet quality to him, because he doesn't have a sustainable life. He can't keep jobs or friends or girlfriends. You meet him in the beginning at the airport and you leave him at the end at the airport. He's a person who kind of exists in this transient liminal space, just a purgatory of his own troubles.
There's also all this great exploration of what the third generation Jewish experience is, but it brings up different things that you could potentially be dealing with that family history that's shared by so many. One of them I found was fascinating, I had never really considered, was in your great moment of frustration with your cousin, you say the notion that he's living in the basement of his parents' home, knowing what his own grandmother went through and survived, is like somehow this cosmic disappointment.
Exactly.
It never occurred to me that people would feel that way, but of course they probably would. That might be an actual thought people have who feel like they're underachieving.
Which, of course, would just bring them down even further. There's like a quote in every culture that has the following thing. Japanese culture, it's like rice paddies to rice paddies in 3 generations. There's another quote, which is like first generation builds the house, second generation lives in the house, third generation burns it down. Italian is like shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. And I say it in the movie, the first generation, because some menial job, they work themselves up into the middle class. Second generation maybe moves themselves up a little further, and the third generation burns the house down. And I think that third generation, if I were to analyze it, maybe on a mass level, I would say something along the lines of there is a guilt that their lives are comfortable and they're lacking meaning that the first generation had.
Yeah, you inherit, it's more than the immigrant story. It's the survivor immigrant story. And yeah, I think about my own self-flagellation. And if I could add in there that my Papa Bob, he was orphaned. He adopted all of his younger brothers and sisters and supported them. I think what that man went through. And then I'm like, yeah, I didn't get X movie to Y actor.
Isn't that weird?
What a shameful place I'm occupying in my head right now.
That's exactly what the movie is talking about. I don't know how to reconcile it. I've written 4 plays about this exact idea, because all my plays are about usually an American, modern American creation, like what you're just describing, in touch with somebody whose life is somehow just more fraught. The play that I like the most is called The Spoils, and my character is like Kieran's character, and his roommate is a Nepalese immigrant who's based on my friend. We both met at NYU, but my roommate is getting a business degree, and I think business degrees are ridiculous because capitalism's bullshit, and he's like an upwardly mobile immigrant, and it's just this clash of cultures. And so my life is just completely stifled because everything seems like bullshit because I have the comfort to have that
It's a luxury,
thought.
yeah.
Exactly. You get self-hating, and then if you're telling yourself this story of, God, I can't believe my grandfather, what you just told me now, and you're worried about your role, it just adds to the self-hating cycle.
Yeah, it's just all more fuel. And then again, the story he's telling, like, yeah, just an outward rejection of all wealth because he doesn't have it. Also, these stories that he's telling himself, Kieran.
Yeah. Rich people are fucking idiots.
Which helps dissipate some of the shame.
It's the thing you said earlier about not going to the award show and then creating a thing in your head. Yeah, because award shows are bullshit. You know.
Yeah.
You have to, if your life is not working out in certain areas, the quicker thing to do is not try to fix it or blame yourself or try to fix yourself. The quicker thing to do is create some really well-reasoned, logical sounding argument of why the thing that you didn't get is bullshit.
Yes. And why the thing you're doing is the natural and right thing to be doing.
Yeah.
I say this a lot about our current hatred of billionaires. I don't have that hatred. I'm like, poor people don't hate billionaires. It's a certain class of people that is actually pretty privileged that has the luxury of saying that's bad and capitalism is bad and XYZ is bad. It's like, if you're actually disenfranchised, you don't think that.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's a weird cycle that happens with privilege where you start picking apart the way to get.
I think this is some of the great angst with economically disenfranchised people is they're hearing rich people talk about that they should care about the planet, right? And they're like, yeah, let me handle dinner and rent. And I might join you in this existential crisis that's 1,000 years away. There is some reality, like when your full bandwidth is made up of surviving, a lot of these other concerns are trivial.
The idea of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that once you fulfill food and air, then you have shelter. And if you're worried about your movie role, I suppose that's not even on the pyramid. And if it was on the pyramid, it'd be the star on top of the Christmas tree of the pyramid.
Yeah, the tip of the flag.
And Maslow would punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a similar thing. It's like the cultural, if your parents left a country to come here so that you could have the opportunity to make a ton of money, you're not going to be like, I think money's bad. You're gonna be like, that's literally the whole purpose
That was the life raft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course. That's what the movie is doing, and that's what the characters in their own different ways are trying to go back to connect to it in some ways. My character's kind of a yuppie and has all the feelings of OCD. It makes me incredibly uncomfortable, but I don't want to tell anybody about it because I'm grandson of survivors.
Right. Were the places you were filming actual?
Yeah, we filmed at a concentration camp. We filmed at one called Majdanek, which is 5 minutes from where my family lived. Not the house that's in the movie, but my second cousins lived. Nonetheless, we filmed at this place, Majdanek. It was really difficult to film there. They don't want movies filming there for obvious reasons. I mean, most movies that are about the Holocaust take place during the Holocaust. These places that are hallowed grounds don't want extras and Nazi uniforms running through. So I took 8 months to get in touch with these people to finally express to them what I wanted to do, which was I wanted to take these characters on a tour through this place, which is now kind of called a museum, the way that they, as a museum, are hoping to get people to come in too. The movie was serving the same purpose as the place and important to go. I've been to a few of these genocide museums in Rwanda and Cambodia, and I visited several of the concentration camps. Every time I'm at these places, I just have this thought, which is like, God, everybody has to see this. And it's hard to say exactly why. I guess, it'll make you more empathic.
All of it's overwhelming. And so I don't like thinking about it. And my best course of action is to explain why. It's just to basically fall on Nietzsche. To have kind of a nihilist takeaway is your only recourse to not suffer in thinking about it. I'll go, yeah, bad shit happens on planet Earth. People are tribal. And that's the facts of life. It's all an attempt so I don't actually have to feel how miserable that might be.
Oh, I see.
I got a little compartment in my head and it's like, yeah, the Earth's gnarly. We do gnarly shit. People are susceptible to cults of personality and we're social animals. I understand it, quote. Therefore, I don't have to feel it. But I think going there, I go, it matters a ton and it's real and it's palpable. And there's nothing I can do to really think my way out of this.
That's right. I mean, and I guess it speaks to the thought that one death is a tragedy and a genocide is data. So when you go there, you realize, oh, actually, there's something real here. It's not something to just write off as a data point of something that occurred.
To understand intellectually.
Exactly.
One detail that I absolutely love that you had in the movie, only because I just read this book, When We Cease to Understand the World. Have you read that book?
Oh, no.
You must read this book because you show the Prussian blue on the gas chambers.
It's the greatest book of all time. The first chapter that is the Prussian
It's
blue.
called Prussian blue.
Sorry, I forgot the title. That is the single greatest book I've ever read. But I read it like 5 years ago and I just bought it for everybody I know.
Did you read Maniac yet? His next book?
Oh, did he write another thing?
You
He's
must
French,
read it.
Right?
He's like from 10 different countries. French is his first language, but he might be in Argentina writing.
Oh, that's exactly what it was.
Is
That's
that what
right.
it
He's
is?
living in South America, but he's French. That Prussian blue chapter is the eeriest thing I've ever read in my life.
And so to tell people,
people, yeah.
Prussian blue only exists as a byproduct of the poisonous gas that was used.
Wait, what is that? Sorry.
So Prussian blue is just this beautiful color in a palette of painters, and it was
Oh.
discovered in some year. I forget which year. And when you create that compound that's in cyanide, or you say it in the movie.
We say Zyklon B.
Yeah, those chemicals create the color Prussian blue, which is so beautiful. And all of the gas chambers had Prussian blue all over. Like the gas
Right.
just would seep out of the doors where they would open it. So surrounding the door going in.
And so now, like 80 years later, the stains are still on the wall.
And there are these clouds of the prettiest blue you've ever seen. It's so weird. There's something
It's
so
very
weird
weird.
about
And
it.
it's also the name of a girl band. Do you know about this?
Oh no, Prussian blue.
White supremacists, two sisters.
Oh
They
my
had a band.
lord, ladies.
Yeah.
That's the wrong use of Prussian blue.
Yeah.
Also, the wrong use of your life. What are you doing?
I mean, they're purposefully named that because they're white
Right.
supremacists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that
Ugh.
fascinating?
It's a fantastic movie. You did a fucking great job. It's really, really good and refreshing and new and interesting and a cool story. and Kieran's phenomenal, and you're phenomenal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. And I'm delighted that you accomplished so much in such short time and on such little money.
Yeah.
We just had someone on who was just here talking. Oh, maybe Anna Kendrick. When you make a movie for such a low budget, you want two things. You want America to think it costs $100 million, but you want everyone to know you only had $3 million.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I want the credit of having made a big movie for a very little amount of money,
That
but I
is
want
so
everyone
funny.
to think it costs $100 million.
I was told to stop saying it for exactly that reason. Yeah, you're exactly right. Why is that? Because America doesn't want to go to a movie.
I want my cake and eat it too.
But what's the appeal?
Well, they want
I
you
think
want to
that-
watch it and be like, "Holy shit, this movie's incredible!
Right.
It must
Huge.
have cost $100 million."
It's huge.
I see.
It's huge, big movie.
There are occasionally movies that the story of the thing is $50,000 and they did this. But that's, I guess, few and far between, right?
Yeah.
Right. Puffy chair. We can name them probably.
Yeah.
Well, Jesse, this has been wonderful. I've enjoyed this so much. I hope everyone checks out A Real Pain. It's so good. What's interesting, it's Searchlight. This all makes sense. Because I watched it on Disney Debut, which is their like screening platform. But of course, Disney owns Fox and Fox Searchlight.
Yeah.
Will it make its way to Disney then?
Disney
at some
Plus, I
point?
think it's
It
what
will.
comes on. Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Imagine it's the only Holocaust movie on Disney Plus.
Just type in Holocaust on Disney.
yeah, exactly.
What if it said, I don't like to talk about that?
Yeah, we
Was
don't
the
talk
response.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
here.
exactly.
Maybe you'd enjoy Dumbo. Or you want to feel like
Suggested
shit, Bambi.
titles, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All of their saddest movies come up. We don't have that title, but we have Bambi.
Lion King.
You know, all these movies, the parents die in the beginning.
All of them.
That's the formula.
Yeah, isn't that just bizarre?
It is. And when it's pointed out to you, you're like, oh, it's that
It makes
simple?
sense. So it's the only way to get kids to care immediately. That's the only thing
Right.
they know and could understand as painful.
You know what ChatGPT told me? Because I asked, is this exploiting kids' psychology? And it said, no, this is a way to safely teach kids about emotions. So it's not real, but you're dealing with emotions.
They're playing out their biggest fear. They'd lose mom and dad.
That's right.
They're doing what we
Just
do.
a few years later, it's Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Next stop.
6
Yeah,
more
exactly.
years.
All right. Well, I enjoyed meeting you on the lot
Yeah, this was so
some
fun.
12 years ago. And now this has been even better. I hope everyone watches A Real Pain. And we would love for you to come back when you're doing it again.
That would be great. Thank you so much. This was so nice.
I sure hope there weren't any mistakes in that episode, but we'll find out when my mom, Mrs. Monica, comes in and tells us what was wrong.
I want to give a public shout out to the number one bunny in America, the number one rabbit, Carly Barton, my little sister. She got out all 1,500 sweaters
Wow, Carly.
in like 2 days.
Incredible.
She had to borrow the truck, multiple trips to the post office.
Thank you, Carly.
But she cranked. That little gal can work. I think I can always call her a little girl. It's not disrespectful on a feminine standpoint because it's my little sister. And she'll always be a little girl. I think she likes being a little sister.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah. I like being a little brother. I mean, I hated being a little brother, but now I like being a little brother.
I could see that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have little brother energy.
You wish. I got big brother energy. Oh, here's something that I wanted to bring up because I always talk about things I love that I've seen. And I know you're never going to watch this, which really breaks my heart. But do you know about the Yacht Rock documentary
Mm-mm.
on Max? My God, is it good?
What's the deal?
First of all, Simmons produced it.
Oh, cool. He's doing a lot of docs.
Oh, yeah. Because he just didn't.
I think he did the McMahon one.
Yes.
That's awesome.
He's crushing that dock space.
Yeah.
I've removed my shoes for comfort.
Yeah, I see. Those are nice socks.
Thank you. It's really good. And I consider myself a student of Yacht Rock. As you know, since you've known me, Yacht Rock was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the origin of Yacht Rock. It was a comedy sketch by these guys in the 90s. They coined the term Yacht Rock.
Okay.
I knew all the players, of course, and you know my love for Steely Dan. But I got to be honest, I don't think I knew how much Steely Dan is the hub of all that music. I mean, you can trace all of it so perfectly to all just them being the nucleus. And Steely Dan's my absolute favorite. I force people to talk about it all the time, especially when we have musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So what a delight for me to hear that was the glue that held all that together.
Do you talk to Best Boy Jimmy Kimmel about it?
Of course. Yep.
Since he loves Yacht Rock as well.
He and I, Molly sent me the best video ever. If she says to her Alexa or whatever device she has,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Alexa, play good music. She did a video of this. It'll go, playing Dax's playlist, like the playlist that Jimmy made for me,
Oh, that's
is what
sweet.
Alexa thinks is good music.
That's so cute. He made you a playlist.
There's a few bands. I guess that's where the debate is. Like, where does the line? Like, Hall & Oates is not yacht rock, but that's so
Why?
right. A lot of people would say why.
I think it is.
And then there are people like Kenny Loggins is one of the. He'd be on the Mount Rushmore of yacht rock, but he also danced in all the genres. He also
Sure.
had a lot of rock and a lot of pop, and then all these seminal yacht rock jams.
Carly Simon, Steely Dan, James Taylor.
These aren't. That's the. Neither of those are. James Taylor is not yacht rock.
I mean, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah. Who gets to decide?
Well, if you watch the doc, they give you a pretty good
Oh, really?
framework
Definition?
for what it is.
Huh.
So the band that's at the hub is, of course, Steely Dan, but then the individual that's the common connective tissue is Michael McDonald. He's in every single one of these things in some capacity.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I wonder what Simmons is going to do next. Because he's
Friends
on a
doc.
roll, I
He's
guess.
going to make one for you.
That would be fantastic. Speaking of, I got a lot of really sweet reach outs from people in my life, like old people in my life when I was in middle school and high school. And they were so happy for me that we got to have Lisa on.
100% of the comments are about you.
Well, that's very sweet.
Yeah. People's enthusiasm and excitement for you.
It was like people who I don't talk to really,
Uh-huh.
but were there for when it was really.
When Friends was the salve.
Yes. And so they were all it was very heartwarming and sweet that they were like, oh my gosh,
That
so
is
happy
nice.
for you. Yeah. And then Anthony, who also was there,
Yeah.
he texted me.
Not a blast from the past.
Well, not a blast from the past, but
Long-standing friendship.
yeah, he was in the past and he was a part of it. And he's also a huge Friends fan. And he said, I almost commented, Lisa Kudrow, this is how I find out. I had forgotten to tell.
You didn't tell him.
Yeah, I had forgotten.
Hmm.
And then I said, oh, some people reached out, which was really sweet. And he said, yeah, you really created strong brand awareness even back in the day. So
You didn't tell anyone was coming up? Because when I did Toto, I couldn't resist. When I was with the boys, I'm like, oh, dude, Toto said this, Toto said that.
I told people Toto.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I told people about Lisa Kudrow. I guess I just forgot to tell the most important person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry, Anthony. This is a public apology.
I need you to be brutally honest. So I was going to wear a hat because, as you know, I am engaged in a two-front war with the thickness of my hair.
Okay.
And so I have a product that I have to use in the morning and at night. And it makes my hair terrible. I have an eyedropper, a drop. I just want it on my scalp. That's what I'm hoping. And then I try to get my fingers in there and just rub the scalp. But of course, it gets all over the hair.
Okay.
And then it's a pharmaceutical. So it's not like a hair product you'd want to use.
Mhm.
And so my hair just always looks bad, basically, because I'm putting it on in the morning and then at night. So take your pick. It's going to look bad. So I'm wearing a lot of hats lately because I don't want to deal with it.
Oh, I did notice
Or
you
I'm
were
like-
wearing a lot of hats.
Or maybe I won't put in that product. I'll give up some territory in this war.
Oh.
I might lose the battle today, but worth it so that I don't have to wear a hat at work.
Okay.
And then that was all happening. I just exercised, went in there, cleaned up. What are we going to do here? Wear a hat. And I go, I'm not going to wear a hat. And now I'm here. And then it just crossed my mind, does my hair look crazy?
Well, did you put the stuff on it?
Yeah, I got to.
Well, you just told me you decided you might not do that.
On a day I'm not going to wear a hat, I would forego the treatment so that my hair doesn't look all goopy.
Right.
So I was
which
going to
would
wear a
be
hat today,
Okay.
but then I decided at the last minute when I came down, no, I'm not going to.
Okay, got it. You see the confusion. It looks fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It doesn't look insane.
What's insane to you?
Like a big block of plastic on half my hair and then normal hair everywhere else.
Oh, no. It
Okay.
doesn't have that. But I have an idea.
Tell me,
You know those scalp things? They're like,
that tickle your scalp?
yeah,
The
and they
metal
have
rods?
little like sticks on them. You could do the thing and then use the scalp thing to get it all over. And then you wouldn't be using your hands to get it all over.
It's a great idea. But I think if you'd used the product, you would know why that's not going to be an option for me, because I do the eyedropper. Well, inevitably it wants to start running down my forehead, and I don't think I can get it in my eyes. So I just got to immediately stop it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you've spilled something on the counter and it's making its way towards the edge and it's going to go down on the floor. You got to really quick get involved.
Okay.
So,
because you definitely want to you have to put it up here.
Well, that's front number one of the war. It's 2 front war. I'm fighting in the front and in the back. The middle we're fine. I don't really even need. So most of my drops are all along the front, and then it wants to, because of gravity, come down my face.
Okay, I have another idea. What about Q-tips? What about if you put it on a Q-tip and then you dab, dab, dab?
So I almost think I tried that method. The problem is like I've got an eyedropper, and I don't know in milliliters, but it's a considerable amount of fluid. If I was going to douse a Q-tip, we would be in there for like 45 minutes to get enough of that fluid on the Q-tip, get that then transferred to the scalp, then go back, because the Q-tip doesn't absorb all that much. And you're supposed to do 2 of the eyedrops.
You 2 full eyedroppers?
It's a lot of fluid.
All right, well.
Just a hat, I think, is the
great,
solution.
just keep wearing a hat.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's almost Christmas time. Are there any Christmas updates? I got a new tablescape, so that was exciting.
Tell me about a tablescape.
New tablecloth. This is from Heather Taylor Home. Gorgeous.
We love Heather. As a human, I mean, I don't know much about the products, but she's
amazing products.
Wonderful woman.
My tree's 35, but she's still my baby, just like Harley's always your little girl.
Yeah.
Her skirt is pink and green.
Okay.
So now I'm deciding to do pink and green
as a theme across the board in your home.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Wicked colors?
Oh, God, I guess
because Kristen did a Wicked tree and it's pink and green.
Nothing against Wicked, but that wasn't
You
the
wanted
point.
to be more original.
I just wanted to match the beautiful skirt. The skirt's so cute. It doesn't look wickedy.
Okay.
I don't think people would think it. I'll
Okay.
ask. I'll ask everyone.
Well, in full honesty, when I look at our Wicked tree, I don't think Wicked.
Really?
No. I mean, green obviously is very embedded into the Wicked aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I don't know about pink. Does that represent her?
I guess because, I think she wears
Popular?
pink stuff.
What's her name?
Glinda.
Glinda.
Yeah, Glinda.
Yeah.
She wears pink. I forgot that. I only think green when I think Wicked, but you're right. Pink is a color.
Yeah, apparently it's an essential part of the sauce. Speaking of Ariana Grande.
Oh, yeah.
Did I already say this on here?
No.
Oh, my sweetest little Delty.
Yeah, you told me he's so cute.
She has her first star, Sheila. Oh my God, you guys. Oh, I love it so much. It's her version of Lincoln's Taylor Swift. She finally has her girl, and it's Ariana Grande. And she has printed up, she goes on the internet and she types in Ariana Grande color shit. It's in my phone as a search, which is problematic, but because she uses my phone sometimes.
Sure.
It's like a drawing outline, and then she prints up all these little things, and then she colors them all day long. And then she's now telling me a lot of facts about Ariana Grande, and she wants to know when we're going to interview her.
I know. Now we have to.
Well, of course, I'll die getting her.
Yeah.
Because my little girl. Anyways, it is so.
You have 2 big gets, Taylor and Ariana.
I know my gals did not shoot low.
They have good taste.
They went right for the stars. But boy, do I like it. And I really it's just so cute when you love something when you're little and you start gathering all the facts. And she's telling me about her vocal range and why she's special in this way and that way.
So cute.
Oh, I love it.
It's a pure time.
It's pure.
Mm-hmm. You told me this a little bit ago. And so then some videos have been popping up about her. I mean, I get so many Wicked videos, which is kind of weird.
Okay.
Maybe they know about my tree and they're confused. I loved the movie. I loved the movie, but I'm not like some people are die hard Wicked, and they've
Yeah.
seen it multiple times,
Mhm.
and
There's sing-alongs.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
a whole. It's
so
like
fun.
a whole thing. It's so fun. That's not really me.
Mhm.
So I guess it's interesting that I'm being targeted in that way.
Do you remember Adam Osier? We interviewed him.
Instagram.
Instagram CEO, head of Instagram. I don't know what the title is, but I follow him. And you know, there is a feature on Instagram where you can wipe your algorithm.
Really?
Yeah, it's like if you're starting to see stuff too often that you don't like, and maybe you watch, in my case, it would be like, I watched a fight video.
Uh-huh.
Because there are certain fight videos I love. If it's like a little guy that was getting bullied by a big guy in a car situation, he gets out and he happens to knock the guy out. I love that.
Sure.
But then they think I like every kind of fight. And then it's sticky. it's hard for me to resist watching fights. And I don't want to watch a bunch of fights.
Yeah.
So like that's a case I might go in there and like just wipe it and then start fresh.
Ooh.
But that's a feature now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
He's a very thoughtful, mindful person that's trying to make that thing the best version of it. There's like a real commitment. Remember when he was here, they were going to hide likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And I don't think
tested that. They beta tested that.
And I don't think the consumer wanted that.
Yeah.
But they tried, which I think in theory was a really kind of good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do appreciate that there seems to be a lot of effort being made to keep it a kind of positive place.
Yeah, they have, I think they have whole divisions at Meta that are fully ethics based.
Right.
So a lot of the things have to run through that.
Trying to dial down the polarization and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Let's take a minute to thank our presenting sponsor, Audible. Audible is the leading audio entertainment app with an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre. As an Audible member, you choose one title to keep every month. We're talking bestsellers, new releases, classic titles, whatever you're into, and there are thousands of included titles to choose from.
With such a huge catalog of audio content, sometimes it can be hard to know where to start listening. And that's why Audible created their Best of 2024 picks. They really do think of everything, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. I'm loving this list. They've got a full cast production of George Orwell's 1984, which I've been meaning to listen to. Everyone talks about it. I've never read it. I got to do it. It's almost like a play, but with different actors voicing each role. The story was good already, but having a full cast making the characters come to life really takes it to the next level.
I really like that about Audible. A good narrator is game-changing. I've been wanting to listen to The Women by Kristen Hanna, which I see is on the list. A bunch of my friends have been talking about it, and with Audible, I can download it and listen on my holiday travels.
Audible's carefully curated list in every category is the best way to hear 2024's best in audio entertainment. There's more to imagine when you listen. And to make it even better, Audible has a special offer for Armcharies. New members can get their first audiobook free when they sign up for a 30-day trial. Visit audible.com/Dax or text Dax to 500-500. That's audible.com/Dax or text Dax to 500-500.
I've also gotten a lot of videos about her.
Okay.
And I sometimes think to send them to you to show Delta. Would you do that? Or are you
Probably not.
Probably not videos?
Yeah, like I love that she's drawing pictures of her. I don't mind
Yeah.
going on the internet and getting the little things, but I don't really want her just mindlessly ingesting a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
I.e. fights in parking lots.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that. But how's she learning about like her vocal range and stuff?
Probably at school. That's where you learn everything,
Oh.
right?
Well,
Probably
I don't
like
know if
one
that's where you
friend
learn-
learns one thing and they add to the
sure.
thing. The other friend's like, I heard she owns a Chihuahua. And you're like, yeah, I don't even know if she owns a dog. That was just an example, a theoretical example.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can
And
you
it's-
see if she owns a dog, Rob?
Yeah, I'm Googling it already.
Great.
She has several dogs. Myron, a pit bull mix that was left behind by rapper Mac Miller.
Oh.
Myron.
All right. Do you have any have you watched any more Christmas movies?
The last one was Charlie Brown Christmas and then half of Frosty. Have you watched any?
Yeah, I watched The Holiday. I mainly just have it on in the background. The Holiday, Home Alone, Love Actually.
Again, I just think it'd be so trippy to be in one of those movies where like every single year everyone's reminded of you. It's like a hit song.
Yeah.
You don't get that with movies. People aren't like making time to watch
Yeah, it's
Hurt
true.
Locker, which was an incredible movie, but in large part, it'll never be seen again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a gift. It's a blessing to end up in one of these.
It's a blessing. It's almost like what we do, sort of like how podcasts are so intimate. They become part of your fabric, like your daily fabric. Christmas movies have that. They become part of your traditions.
They're good triggers.
Yeah. And like when we had Jude Law on and we talked a little bit about the holiday, yeah, he's like part of my year.
Yes. Always.
Always. And Jack Black too. I forgot that he was also
In
he's
my
also
role.
in his role.
But it was almost mine for a minute
Yeah.
when he had a scheduling conflict. But then they worked it out.
Yeah, you could have been.
I could have been in one of those where everyone remembers.
That would be cool.
They should re-release Without a Paddle and just give it a ton of Christmas songs. Maybe that'll you could trick.
Well, you're really lucky if you're like Die Hard. I haven't seen it, but Die Hard, which is a
Christmas movie,
but it's not, right?
It's funny you would say that. Well, no, it's just set during Christmas. You know, I tried to do this with Chips, and I was a bit heartbroken because I love that just in the background of LA in Lethal Weapon was Christmas because it's so, especially if you're from Michigan. It's weird that California has Christmas. You're like, how are they doing it? They don't have fucking snow or anything.
I guess.
There's something really neat about it.
Yeah.
So I had this great scene between Michael Rosenbaum and Vincent D'Onofrio, and he pulls over Michael, and where we shot it is right at the 101 where you get off at Vine. So in the background was the Capitol Records building. And they always put this enormous Christmas light tree. It's like the shape of a tree on the roof. And it's so iconic. And every shot I kind of built around making sure that was behind D'Onofrio. And it was so great. And it was the opening scene. And I was like, oh, it's great. It's going to have a Christmas vibe. And we have other Christmas stuff. But when that one went away, that scene didn't make the movie. It was a great scene on its own, but it didn't really service the movie all that well. So that scene got left entirely unseen. And then it really took out the momentum of the Christmas aspect.
Dang.
Yeah. But I was trying to do that.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. Because I love a little Papa Christmas in a movie.
Me too.
Everyone says triggers in a negative way, but there's really positive triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I think we think it because guns.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I think we think it because everyone says I was triggered every fourth sentence.
Yeah.
In popular culture, myself guilty of it too. And it's never a good thing at the end of it. Yeah.
But I guess my point is I think that originated, just even that colloquial term originated from a gun trigger.
Yeah. Or a crossbow, probably.
No, a gun.
Okay.
Rob, is the Home Alone house in Chicago like immortalized at Christmas?
Yeah, I used to work not far from it, and I'd sometimes just drive over there and eat lunch on the street.
Oh my God. Just like outside?
In my car.
Do people, and like,
they don't love that people hang out there.
Oh, because someone lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should.
They wouldn't like, yeah.
Whoever, Columbia should have bought it.
Well,
I think, and then made it a museum.
But you can't put a museum in the middle of someone's neighborhood. That does remind me, last thing, Lincoln and Delta and I, on Sunday, we went into Altadena. I think a bit because you and I had shot a commercial there.
Yeah, well, that's also funny because All Time, the restaurant I love, you love, we all love, they just opened a new restaurant in Altadena.
And you went.
And I went the day before we shot the commercial, and it was so weird because I never go to Altadena.
Same.
Yeah.
So we were shooting a commercial there. And then I kind of remembered, I think they have a street here that's super Christmassy, known around town. So then I hit up Bree because she lives adjacent to Altadena.
Yeah.
And I said, isn't there a street? Oh, yeah, you got to go Christmas Tree Lane. It's right by the public library, blah, blah, blah. So, and she said, we let the kids hang out the sunroof because you drive really slow. And I was like, okay, great. I got great tips. I'm going to bring the Raptor because it's got a huge sunroof. So Lincoln and Delta and I went up to Christmas Tree Lane, and we spent 2 hours just crawling through all the neighborhoods, looking at all of the houses that were decorated, and there are some doozies.
Ooh.
I'm so proud of those people that put in that effort.
Me
Some of these
too.
displays, that was a week of installation for sure. There was a full Christmas Vacation house.
Oh, wow.
With like the characters there. There was someone had the lamp from Christmas Story. You know, the dad wins that stupid lamp. It's a sexy leg with a stocking on it and then a lampshade. And then the dogs break it and he's so upset. My lamp. And he spends his whole time gluing it back together and that looks insane. Someone had one of the actual things in their window.
Wow.
Someone put up this huge, it's like you're standing inside of a Christmas photo. They put a big border with Merry Christmas and it's lit so you can get out and step behind it. So I got the girls standing
So
behind
they
it.
let people like come out and walk around.
Oh,
and
there's signs from the
exhibits?
city, no parking during this time. It's like it's designated as an attraction. And you just coast through
Wow.
and people walk.
That's so cool.
We hung out the sunroof. Not we, them.
Yeah, cute.
I can't reach the pedals.
You cruise control.
Fuck, you're right, Rob. I should have set the cruise on 6 miles an hour and maybe ghost rided it. Just got out and walked next to it.
That sounds really lovely.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. And then we made the mistake of going to the In-N-Out in Altadena. And it was a record waiting. It was a record.
How are they doing this? There's always, I've never been in my entire life and there's not been a line. At random times, it's pretty cool.
Good for them.
Because
they don't build out for it.
and they don't market. Like I've never seen a commercial for In-N-Out.
Well, Bree and I used to see those commercials because
really?
we would sing. That was our love song.
What was it?
The song was In and Out. That's what a hamburger's all about. But we would say what made it our love song is we would say In and Out. That's what a Handenburger's all about.
Oh.
We would say Handenburger. That's what made it a love song.
Oh. I thought I like that because I thought you were going to make it gross.
Dirty. That would be a
In-N-Out.
sex song.
Right.
One more thing about In-N-Out. My mother went to California when I was a kid, when I was a skateboarder. We couldn't believe she was going to California, USA. We had never been.
Yeah.
We never even met people that went to California.
Yeah.
And when she came back, what she had seen while she was out there, this is what a good mom she was. She had seen other skateboarders and they had the In-N-Out sticker on their skateboards. But it would say In-N-Out Burger.
Uh-huh.
And the skateboarders would cut off the B and the R. So it said In-N-Out Urge.
Oh.
And she brought back a stack of the stickers for David and I, and she showed us
Oh.
how to cut off the thing.
Cute.
Yeah.
And were people like, that's so cool, man?
Yeah, people thought it was really cool. It's California.
like, oh my God. The land of fruit and nuts. I told you my friend's mom said that.
Yeah. Was California like a crazy fantasy as well for you?
No, it was a fantasy that I wanted to go live there.
But just as a place, long before like I wanted to be in show business, it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, they surf out there, they skateboard out there, there's palm trees out there.
Yeah.
We were
think
infected with the fantasy of it.
I was infected with the fantasy of Hollywood.
Okay.
And I knew that was there. We went on a family vacation when I was 11,
Oh, see, okay. Well, then
maybe?
then it's a real place. So of course you
Yeah.
wouldn't have had that.
Yeah, we did the tour.
The first time I went, I think my mom took me when I was maybe 14 or 15 to do legwork for a car show. So we were working,
Yeah.
but we flew in, we went to Riverside. That's where the car show was, the Riverway Speedway. No disrespect to Riverside folks, not the fantasy of California.
Sure.
Like a land, you're 50 miles from the ocean.
Yeah.
It's industrial.
Yeah.
It's sprawling. I was like, this is California?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we went to San Francisco because we had legwork up there. And then we rode the trolley. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is a fantasy land.
Definitely. Yeah. We
Went to
did
Chinatown.
that too. And we went to San Diego, went to the zoo.
You did.
Hmm.
Your parents are good parents.
Yeah, very.
Took their little girl all over.
Yeah.
They show her the world
Yeah. And it bit them in the butt.
because you split.
She left.
Yeah. They shouldn't have shown you this place.
No. We stayed right by the airport, and you could hear the planes the whole night.
That's my Riverside experience.
Anyway, okay. So Jesse, ding, ding, ding. He lives in Hollywood. Actually, he doesn't. I think he lives in New York.
Yeah, he doesn't even live
Damn
here.
it.
But he has done a lot of work here in Hollywood.
Yeah. I feel bad because when you talked about Jesse's sister, it was new information and I reacted as such. And then like 4 seconds later, I was like, oh, I did know that.
Oh, you already knew that.
But I forgot. And when you said it, it sounded new.
Yeah.
And then I felt fraudulent.
I didn't know. I'm wondering what percentage of the audience will know immediately who I'm talking about. Because as soon as I heard Pepsi Girl, I could see her in my head, the spirally curls.
Let's bring up a picture of her on the TV.
Rob, search bicycles in Paris.
On the TV show.
I think that's Austria.
Oh.
That's what I think.
I think
God, is it beautiful?
I think it might be Ireland. There she is. Look how cute she is.
Oh, she loves her Pepsis.
And you know what else?
Look at her little teeth.
I know. She looks like him.
Yeah.
Like they definitely have a family resemblance.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wonder if he thinks she's so cute. He didn't say so in the interview.
Well, yeah, of course not. It's his sister.
Well, you think your sister's so cute.
My sister is
You
cute.
talk about it all the time.
I don't talk about how cute my sister is all the time.
I'm just kidding. But if your sister is known as being like the cutest girl in America,
I wonder if I would hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it was your little sister.
No, if it were her, I'd like it. I want the best for her. I always have. Well, that's great.
I love her dimples.
Well, they're
Dimples are a
great
thing.
dimps.
If and when science is good enough, which it will be, I'm going to pick dimples for my kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know if people with dimples like dimples, even though we all like their dimples.
Well, they're crazy.
Lincoln was just telling me that there are now a trend on social media is there's like a freckle filter. People put freckles on themselves.
know.
And what a turn of events. Everyone with freckles didn't want them.
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain to her, look, here's how it goes, Link. Whatever you don't have, you want. I wanted curly black hair.
Sure.
Everyone with curly black hair wanted straight blonde hair.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a ton of freckles. It was like a fart cloud on my face. And of course, I didn't want freckles.
Right. But what happened to your freckles? I don't see any.
You don't?
It's
probably too much skin, like sun damage under. I bet if I got like acidy facials, maybe it would reveal them.
Oh, interesting.
But you know, my arms are freckled to high heaven.
Right.
It's almost like I'm almost turning a person of color just on the arms. If you just saw my arms.
Maybe with age, also freckles dissipate on the face. Just this, I would say the sun exposure, but that also seems counterintuitive because sun also brings out freckles. A lot of
Yes, it
people in the
does.
summer, their freckles come
They
out.
pop.
Yeah.
Oh, in the summer, my freckles were on fire.
Yeah.
Link's got
Freckles are so cute.
a lot of freckles.
Freckles are so cute.
They are cute.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to pick dimples
Okay.
for my kid.
When you get your designer kid.
Yes.
A girl with dimples.
Oh, can you imagine? She's going to be so cute.
It's a cute name, too, for what it is. It's onomatopoeia.
Dimples. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think if I go to my face guy, if I tell him I want dimples,
that
he
would
could
be
do
the
it?
easiest thing for them to do.
Because they just carve out.
No, I don't know if I understand how it works, but I do believe there's some kind of a facelift you can get with strings where they put string in your face somehow. Yeah. So clearly they could just put the string in and then suck that part of the string in. And if they haven't invented that, that's mine.
They do a dimpleplasty.
Oh,
Make an incision in your cheek, remove a small amount of muscle and fat, and it creates a dimple.
Actually, that's what I said. I said carve something out.
You're right.
Wow.
I want string involved.
It's only $1,500.
Oh, that sounds way too cheap for facial surgery.
So
I don't want. This is not where you want to save a buck.
I'm going to come back in the new year.
You have 6 dimples.
What if you get multiple dimples? Do you think if you like
one went wrong, so I did another one?
Well, just if you like 2 dimples, why wouldn't you like 4?
When I design my kid, she's going to have one on each side.
Okay.
I guess I have to figure out exactly where. And then she's gonna have curly hair.
Okay.
I don't think I have to design. I think she's gonna have naturally curly hair, like me. Well, I guess depends on who her dad is.
Right.
Okay, but naturally curly
Don't
hair.
get with Caucasoid. Lowers your chance.
Exactly. But remember, I saw that mixed girl at Mixed Late Woman.
Yeah, that you were obsessed with, and turned out one of her parents was Indian.
Yeah, she was so pretty.
Yeah.
Well, have a kid with Carrot Top or something.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Oh, curly. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, red curly hair, dimples.
And then I'm gonna give her.
Are there any Indians with red hair?
I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Well, that's natural. People dye their hair.
Right, sure.
That's a recessive gene that I don't think has made its way to dominance. All right. Anyway, Jesse.
Next
Jesse has sort of red hair.
Does he?
I'm not sure.
Okay. There's those crickets.
Yep.
Crickets? Okay. What is going on? What is going on in LA with crickets? Because this happened when I was recording something else in a different location.
And
we had to stop.
Because cricket infestation. Yeah, I don't know what's going on because they're here in the studio, and then when I'm in the hot tub at night, it's so loud behind my head, the crickets. It's interesting because in the summertime in Michigan, I love the sound of crickets.
Yeah.
In the hot tub at night or when we're recording, I hate it. Again, we had this moment last week where the guest was becoming very emotional, and it was a very sweet moment, and it almost like someone cued the like there was a second of crickets.
Oh God.
The PA was like, cue the crickets.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, the crickets were so loud in there, and I was like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. You didn't hear that?
It because it was a big enough, it was a sweet enough moment that I think you're in it. But I mean, this is like not good for sound.
Well, they're invested in the garage rubber. Because when
What do we do?
when that new couch came, Carly and I opened the garage to move it in, and probably 400 crickets came out.
So we need to get some cricket poison.
Yeah. I read you can do peppermint tea.
Just brew a pot of peppermint tea and just splash it everywhere.
They don't like peppermint tea.
Okay.
And some other aromatherapies.
Okay.
Okay, speaking of, do mice, another unwanted pest,
Yeah.
unless you're talking about me,
Yeah.
love eating plastic.
Oh yeah, they
eat plastic. They do.
They ate my bus.
And they chew right through it to keep their incisors from growing too long.
What if I took that mouse to court, like a small claims court, and I said, look, you $3,500 worth of damage here on my bus. And the mouse is standing there. Maybe the mouse has a lawyer. I'm not sure.
Oh.
But the mouse is just there. And they're, what do you say about this? And he's just like, and you go, oh, he loves plastic. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, well, he loves plastic. Okay, so eBay Zathura astronaut costume, not there anymore.
Yeah.
People snatched them up.
As they should. They were like $15.
Right. You can buy spacesuits, though, on there.
You can.
If you want. They're thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I don't have such an interest in aeronautics or.
Sure.
It's just more I had an interest in keeping my costume.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
All right. Was Squid and the Whale Noah Baumbach's first movie? No, it was called Kicking and Screaming in 1995. That was his first movie.
That's different than the Will Ferrell Kicking and Screaming, though? I think it is.
It's different.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is about 4 young men who graduate from college and refuse to move on with their lives. Okay. When we cease to understand the world, author, is he French? He's from 10 different countries. He was born in the Netherlands. He spent his childhood in Buenos Aires and Lima, and then he moved to Santiago at the age of 14.
So, a lot of countries.
A lot of countries. And if you type in, is Benjamin Labatut French, it says no.
Oh.
No, he is Chilean, not French.
But do they mean his nationality or his ethnicity?
Yeah, it says nationality. He is a Chilean author, birthplace, childhood. It doesn't say.
No.
It doesn't say like his dad is from. It doesn't say that.
Okay. I sent it to Kutcher the other day. I said, I don't know if I've already recommended this book or not. Sent him the link on Audible, and then he said, I'm pretty sure I'm the one who recommended this to you.
Oh, no.
Which is possible. I can't remember how it came across my desk. Take it off your chest. Get it off my desk.
Oh, man.
That's your Ariana Grande.
Yeah. Well, my Ariana Grande is Friends, I guess. Like that, I sat that pure time.
Yeah. Did you love any singers?
Britney.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. It's Bitney Bridge.
I know, except I didn't really.
Okay.
You know, no, I did, but I was not like I liked Friends or nothing. I wasn't owning it in the way that
Probably more just to be
part
involved.
of the group. Yeah, definitely. I was more into yacht rock.
You don't know shit about yacht rock.
I was actually, because my dad would play music in his car. Soft rock.
Soft rock.
The soft rock station is the yacht rock station.
So that's like, Carly Simons goes in there, James Taylor. Soft rock for sure.
Yeah.
Yacht rock is a subset of soft rock.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, I think I said this already, but I am planning on reading this book over the Christmas break.
Oh, good.
Yes, I'm excited to read it.
It's a goodie.
Yeah.
One of my faves. I'm re-listening to it right now.
And I'll read The Maniac. And I'm going to read 3 more books.
You're writing a lot of checks
5
that I don't
books.
know that your little buns are going to cash.
We'll see.
All right.
All right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Love you.
Love you.